Hey, hello, welcome. At this strangest of strange times. I'm not going to hang about in this intro. It's a weird old time. We are brought to you by our sponsors, Go Deep Flotation Therapy. If you've been listening to this podcast, you know all about it by now, even though you've probably never done it, but you've heard me bang on about it. Google it, look at flotation therapy, especially now more than ever. Immune systems, health, harmony, frequency. Spend time tuning into yourself, build your immune response. Amazing. And it's exactly the same for our other sponsors. Lincolnshire Cryotherapy, Lincoln Cryo Lab. Same thing, 3 minutes in a cryo chamber. These businesses obviously aren't operational at this moment, so I'm not going to bang on, but it's food for thought right now. You know, Western medicine, we tend to repair or patch as opposed to prevent. We've got a fast culture, we've got a consumer culture. We want to just sell it, buy it. We don't want to spend time looking into things that, you know, can help us. They don't need buying, they don't need purchasing, they don't need updating, upgrading, just looking after yourself, getting some exercise, doing things for your health, going out in the fresh air. You know, these things are they're being proved now useful, aren't they, as we're all locked in our houses. It's a strange time. It's a fucking really strange time, and it's not sitting with me comfortably at all. It really isn't. Don't know what to make of it. Yeah, but that'll come out in this podcast. But as far as our sponsors, godeepflotation.com, Google them, give them a look, give floating a look, Google floating. If you're nowhere near us, if you're in America or Australia or Holland or France or Spain or anywhere, Switzerland, we've got listeners in Switzerland now, welcome, you know, check it out, Google it, Google cryotherapy. Those things implemented into your life as a monthly routine, going to go a really long way into having you in a strong position when things do go awry, and when viruses or general health, colds, common colds, anything like that, just strengthen you, become stronger, become better. So Google it, have a look into it. These businesses aren't operating, obviously, because of this weird and wacky fucking time we're in, but it's worth, if you're kicking back, sitting on the sofa, check it out, look into it, bring it into your life if we ever do move forward out of this Blade Runner, Mad Max fucking media hysteria about something that, you know, is a genuine fear. It's just, I wish we could trust our news sources and our governments a little bit more than many of us do, because seeing how they steer the public consciousness, the public behavioural pattern is really fucking scary, really scary. Yeah, but anyway, in this podcast, Four Brothers, we delve into it. We try not to stay there too long because it's fucking grim, and everybody's talking about it, and there's educated people and people who spend a lot more time looking into it than we have. We're just people like you, just trying to work out what the fuck's going on and not trying to do anything more than just figure it out between ourselves. You know, that was really it. Really enjoyable, as they always are, these four brothers. It's the second time we've done it. We had a video camera set up for this one, a novel set up, just to see what we were dealing with. We learned some lessons, syncing and software and different cameras at different processing speeds and so on and so forth. So we learnt loads, but there's some clips that we've got that we can share on our YouTube and get our YouTube page going. So we do urge people, get over to the YouTube, push friends over to the YouTube, Chew the Chat podcast on YouTube. Simple as that. Just type in Chew the Chat podcast, it'll pop up. Subscribe on there. We will be dropping clips and bits on there regularly, and as we move forward, if we get out of this apocalypse, we will be doing video podcasts. We've got better gear on order, hence this little proto run we did. We've got better gear on order, so they are going to be video podcasts as well. We're really looking forward to getting moving with that. So do head over to YouTube, subscribe to Chew the Chat podcast, and keep your eye out. There's going to be some funny clips popping up from this podcast. So without further ado, tell a friend, Share, like, subscribe, pass it on to someone who'll enjoy it. We're all bored out of our fucking schools. We're all trying to hold on to our sanity. We're all trying to pick the bones out of what the fuck's going on. So a little bit of light-hearted fun with a little bit of introspection about what's happening now as well. But generally just a bit of fun. Check it out. This is Chew the Chat podcast, episode number 8. 4 brothers.
Welcome to Chew the Chat podcast.
Hey, hello, welcome. How you doing?
Yeah.
This is the first time with these cameras, so we're going to have to see how this goes. For instance, I'm going to switch from this full shot. Boom! What are we looking like?
Yeah, man, can see you.
This is the apocalyptic bunker.
Trying to navigate behind Joseph's head.
Who's that over there? Harry. That's Harry and Joseph. Who's this? That's me and George. And that's all of us. How's everybody doing?
Yeah.
All good. In this
weird
times.
given the current climate.
What have you been doing with yourself then?
Well, work's still going on for me, really. It's eased up a little bit.
Is there many kids at your school?
No, we're only really staying open, and I think this applies to most schools, really. They're only staying open for the vulnerable children.
Yeah.
So children whose parents are in work for the NHS and stuff like that, services, military, police.
And what's the nature of activity?
Nothing educational.
So they're just having fun.
So it's
playing.
literally, yeah.
It's like
literally just
non-uniform
outdoorsy.
day.
Yeah, pretty much.
Every day.
For everybody. But it's surprising because, to start with, there was about 60 children whose parents are classed as key workers. But as each day that's passed, less and less children turning up, so more and more parents, regardless of them being key workers, are making the decision to pull the children out of school.
Yeah.
Which isn't a bad thing, but obviously the schools are open for that reason. But it just goes to show, where we are, what's going on.
Yeah, it's mad times, isn't it? I don't think nobody really knows what's going on today. It seems to be a theme.
It's bizarre. There's a weirdness in the air. A real weirdness.
What were you saying then? Obviously,
I'm
you're
still
quite
working.
involved.
Yeah, no, I'm still working. Nothing's really changed for me. I'm working for Royal Mail at the moment, and I'm delivering the essentials: sunbeds,
Sunbeds.
Flyers.
cans
Farm
of Coke.
food
I've got
flyers.
some farm food flyers. I've got some good flyers that it's essential I deliver them. I'm delivering flyers for shops that are no longer open, but it's got to be done. Someone's got to step up, haven't they? So,
Yeah.
no, in all, I'm pretty bitter about the whole thing at the moment, to be honest.
It does seem strange though, but the blurry lines of like, you must stay home. Messages, you've got to stay home. We've got to follow the protocol, as it were. But then there's all these grey areas of like, well, who is a key worker and who isn't? Because
And how other industries interact with key worker industries in order to make things run. Do you know what I mean? It's,
so working in the
But
co-op,
then-
you're a key worker, aren't you?
Well, I mean, depending
but-
on how you look at it, I think you could say every job contributes to keeping things up and running. It's, like you say, it's a bit of a grey area.
But I think it's definitely a time where companies need to prioritise. Like, there's rumours at Royal Mail that we're going to start, working in conjunction with the pharmacies and whatnot, and be helping delivering prescriptions, that kind of thing, as opposed to what people call junk mail, the flyers and whatnot. That's what we need to be doing instead of.
yeah. Yeah, you shouldn't be
What
taking
like-
on anything that don't need.
No, medicine.
No, well, there's a lot of companies like Argos, the e-commerce online stuff that's still going strong. Although a lot of the high street shops aren't open, you can still do it online, and someone's got to deliver it.
So you step up
But that's
to
a
the
grey
plate.
area in
Yeah.
itself. How does that, how can you still be delivering?
Well, it's strange, especially
non-essentials?
with the social distancing. So what they're trying to do is cut sort of the morning staff in half down at the shop floor where a lot of the organising goes on. Obviously, just to try and abide by the social distancing. but it's very difficult in our job. Very difficult. So like today, for example, I was sort of prepping 2 rounds, and then I had to go and deliver some bags of mail to some dude who lived out that way, kind of thing. And then you're not allowed to do the van share thing anymore. You've got to be. I don't know, man. It's just strange.
That's another
every day
thing.
it's changing. Every day, they bring in policy, and then the next day it's changed again, depending on what the government's come out with. So time will tell at the moment.
But essentially, you're still, I guess, when you're at the sorting office, there's a lot of people in there, isn't there?
Oh, crazy, man.
And not only that, but things are getting passed around to each other, and they've come from all over the country and all over the world, and you don't know what. Is there anything in place in terms of like treating the packages? Are they spraying them or anything, or wrapping
anybody
them in
gloved up?
cling
The
film
volume,
them up or something?
the volume is that high, and it's only sort of getting higher. Like I say, it sort of feels like at this stage, it's still sort of early on, really, isn't it, for us? When you look at how it's affected other countries globally. So
Yeah, it's still unfolding.
How
The volume's too
how
much.
confusing is it, the numbers, when you keep reading the numbers or hearing the numbers, and like death tolls at this or
600 in Spain today, for example. Yeah.
But when you hear that, if somebody says 600 people today, you go, fuck, don't you?
Initially, and coronavirus deaths, 600 a day. But what I think needs looking at a bit more closer is, we know that the majority of people that are coming off bad from this already have underlying health issues. Now, I saw something on the news this morning that said, it's people who had been diagnosed with coronavirus deaths. It didn't say that they had died from coronavirus.
Yes.
It said that they had been diagnosed and then they died. But,
So
and
what
that in
underlying
itself
factors?
is, especially in this fear fucking central we're in at the minute, where it's just, like, I think choice of words, is critical, isn't it? And yeah, I think there's a lot of hysteria, a lot of panic.
The numbers are scary when you say, look, 600 people have died today. That's worrying, that's concerning. But then, like you say, we're just being. I'm a little bit blasé with it. And
I feel like there's a lot of contradiction in the advice that we're being given. So, for example, like the Prime Minister said something, you can go out once a day for a jog. You can't be amongst more than 2 people unless you're family. So it's like, how do you differentiate between, this might be my second jog of the day? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've seen groups of people walking around today. 5,
I've seen
6
loads of people about.
Yeah,
There's been people about. Granted, people walk. I've seen a lot more people walking than I ever.
yeah, the
have.
roads are quiet.
Listen, I've never seen so many people exercising,
Yeah, you know,
running, even just recreationally walking. And you can tell when someone's recreationally walking as opposed to
what's the
walking
difference?
somewhere.
What's the difference?
They're looking around and shit.
Yeah.
Like, I went to cryotherapy last night at Big Shout sponsors Lincoln Cryolab, Function First Lincoln, because I hurt my back doing the fucking Joe Wicks Keep Your Kids Fit 9 o'clock live. Here we go.
Star jumps.
I got to say, I went to I dipped down to get a fucking shooting star, and it was right on the last couple of exercises, and I just got a ping in my back. Oh no! Anyway, I checked in. I said, "Look, is the cryo? Is it possible I can use the cryo? Because obviously that is it's a medical
Healing.
situation. It's a healing situation, and it's an individual situation. Do you know what I mean? You don't have to be 2 meters with anybody, and it's one thing at one time. So excuse me. I went to that, and on the way there, I noticed how many people were running, like
Walking
cycling,
dogs.
but then
Yeah, a
the
lot of dog
walkers, the walkers, right? They were like couples, arm in arm, nice, got their like Sunday best on, and just walking around like this, just looking at stuff and like, strolling, yeah, enjoying it, fresh air, kind of, because they're bored as fuck in their houses. We need to go out, whereas we're always so fast in our lives, aren't we? We're always fucking got to do this, got to do that, iron that, put that back, fucking how did you fill the form in, all those fucking things we've always got to do. And actually, it feels like people are getting time to go, do you know what, I should fucking go out for a run, or I should do something, do you know what I mean? It's
So it's a good opportunity for people to get back in touch with a few things. Isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I was just about to say, it is.
I think this idea of self-isolation
Well,
might
there's
not
the-
be a bad thing.
The idea of impending fucking world doom as well, and the fact that everyone's been sent home from work, it's like polar opposite of everything we're used to, isn't it? And all of a sudden everybody's at home with a family, and all we can hear all day every day is how many people are going to die, and you've got no choice but to fucking reconnect with what matters. And that's what you see it all over Facebook and that. You realise the clothes don't matter, the job don't matter, the cars, none of that matters.
It's all a construct, isn't it? In our minds,
and as soon as this infrastructure of economy and that starts crumbling away, it just
As soon as it's
all
thrown into
gone.
jeopardy.
The things that matter is food, fucking healthcare, community,
friends,
friends,
fresh air.
and exercise.
Yeah, but all of that gets it's on the back burner when you're just grinding to get the money to pay the things.
Because it's
fog,
a
isn't
fake
it?
world that we've built, haven't we, to just grow. Our economy is based on growth, innit? Economic
money.
growth.
Infinite
And
growth.
that means disposable. That means you've got to be disposable because, like back in the 20s and that, your car, you had people have still got them, haven't they? Classic cars, things lasted, didn't they? As these
Built
days,
to last, yeah.
Fast food lifestyle.
it's like for 18 months is like, look at your iPhones that are out every fucking 9 months or something like that.
I saw a funny meme that someone put up that was something like, look, for once the government had just said to us, just fucking stay at home on the sofa and watch
we'll
your
pay you.
TV and don't fuck it up.
We'll pay you. And they're not doing it. Everyone's out. Snowdon had its busiest fucking day ever, didn't it? In the weekend.
Well, I think that comes back to the grey area of like how seriously are we taking it in the clutches of individual kind of people and places? Is this city taking it more seriously than that city? I don't know what's happening in London at the moment. I know my wife's friend rang up and she's down there and she was saying they're patrolling the river and they're out and about everywhere. And
Well, like police,
London's
it's
pretty
locked
bad,
down,
isn't it?
yeah.
The majority of cases in England are around London way, aren't they?
I reckon they're a couple of weeks ahead, don't they, than anywhere else in the UK.
Checkpoints are going up, police checkpoints and whatnot.
But it'll be all the major cities first. I
Oh,
imagine.
it's scary, man.
This is film
And
time.
as soon as you get the
I've just had a
military on the
message off
street,
someone telling me complete lockdown by Friday, apparently.
yeah, as soon as you see military on the police, that really sort of reinforces stay indoors.
martial law, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's the
Desensitise it, it gets you used to it, ready for it.
Scary.
Yeah, but when you look at like places like Italy and Spain, where people are dying and they're just being left because they ain't got the infrastructure to cope for it, that really makes me think, we all work so hard to keep this system running, to keep it operational and keep it going. And when you look at it, when it starts to all fall apart and you look at all the things that are being done, we're doing what we can to save the economy. We're not doing it to save the people. Do you know what I mean?
No, you're right,
It's
yeah.
being done to save businesses and economy and that,
to keep the status quo as it is.
to keep things running. Whereas, what this has shown us, I think, or partly, obviously it's all fresh and exciting. I say exciting, that's not the right word.
Well, yeah, but it kind of is though. I mean, it kind of
Do you know
is
what I
in a
mean?
weird way.
It's like a movie, innit? It's
Yes.
like we're in a movie. You've seen World War Z and 28 Days Later, and there's no zombies running about, but
Yet.
it's near as fucking damn it, isn't it? All the news is on. There's all
When
the
you've
people
been locked
dying,
in your
you're
fucking house, right,
Yeah.
for 3 months, yeah, and all you can do is just fucking.
And by that point, you're not going to be able to go shopping to buy whatever you want. You're going to be on rations.
Well, we always have our shopping delivered. Always, I've done for a few years now because it just makes no sense to fucking pile a load of kids in a car, try and get a car parking space in a fucking horrible, massive supermarket, then get them all out the car, then get 2 trolleys, then fucking get them in there. Then excuse me, put that back. Get like 4 hours out of your weekend, then get it out into the bags, into the trolley, then out the trolley, into the back of the car, back out the car, into the house. Right, sit down, don't touch. Right, you can have one of them. All that, stop, right, get it delivered. The knock at the door, there it is. Thank you.
Yeah, but the only problem with that...
Can't do that now.
Everything's
It's fucking booked up for
substituted.
3 weeks. But I've been doing it for years, and it's like
The problem with doing that normally, though, is if they ain't got something that you've ordered, they just give you something else.
you get a
for it.
substitute, yeah, which can be a bummer, but it is it's a mad time because 3 weeks booked up in advance for that is
Well, that's why everyone's advertising for staff, aren't they? Delivery, and that's what's starting to happen. All these like small independent, businesses and that are all falling apart. They'll end up becoming delivery drivers and supermarket
for the
shelf
big
stockers.
boys.
Yeah, and you'll see Tesco's and all that booming. Well, maybe not. Who knows? But
Well, that for me is kind of the scariest thing at the moment. Is what does the world look like after this?
Yeah.
Because number one, you said about the economy. We're doing it to keep the economy up. So,
well, it ain't gonna.
We're going to be in
survive, is it?
despair.
but if you think I did the thing that I think everybody's done, which is, you know, you've got a ring round everybody, yeah. So you've got to ring universal credit if you're employed or self-employed, whatever. You've got to ring your mortgage people or your landlord, or you've got to do, that
Yeah, but
day
you
of
can't
those
get through
phone
to
calls.
anyone, because everyone's ringing them out there. I tried to get to register for universal credit, and in order to do that, you've got to verify your identity. You've got to use a third-party survey. Got onto it, and it's like you're in a queue. There's like 128,000 people in front of you. I've been trying every day. I've got through today, but
Well, I did that day yesterday. I did all the phone calls, and I was thinking, right, okay, well, everyone's been really cool. VAT, really cool. CIS, tax, really cool. Yeah, it's already done. You know, and you think, oh, thank fuck for that. So the money I've got, I can get food and just fucking fuel or whatever it is we need, and I feel better about it. Then I started thinking, but where does this? It's all well and good saying, oh, we're going to be locked down for possibly 3 months or whatever, but how long? What an impact does that make economically? Those 3 months in trying to get
what
back.
we can be certain of is that we're all going to be in debt, because this money's got to be paid back. Yeah, you might be thinking that they're going to get 8% of your wage sick pay from the government, and it's not a loan and got to pay it back. But it's government
some sort of tax that they'll bring on.
Yeah, it's got to be on there. At the end of the day, governments don't have money.
Well, where does this money come from? Yeah,
Governments do not have money. Yeah, the only money
Billions they're
government
talking,
have
aren't they?
is what they get paid and live on, and all their interests and that. But the money they deal with is our money. It's tax money, isn't it? So that's why we had to bail the banks out before. Too big to fail. Somebody's got to pay for it. It ain't
Who
innit?
better? Who better to pay it?
Well, it's us, isn't it? It's the taxpayer. So obviously we're going to have to pay all this back. So I mean, that's why it's when you look at the what's been imposed and the detrimental effects of it. I mean, there's no happy way out of it.
Well, then they haven't just frozen things either financially. It's like I rang up for a mortgage holiday, and they made a point of telling me that it's going to be recalculated with the interest.
Yeah.
So it's not like they're just freezing it and you can have 3 months off because we're all fucked. It's
You
like,
still have to pay.
Yeah, this is going to be interest, and your mortgage payments will go
And all
up.
these loans that they're offering out, there's a difference between grants and loans. A grant is a government grant.
Yeah, that's yours.
Yeah,
Spend
there you
it.
go.
Yeah.
That you would say. Whereas a loan, you have to pay back. So they're like, and I was watching one of them, and it was the Chancellor dude, and he was chatting away and that, and he was being questioned by a committee, and she was saying, something about, the difference between the grants and the loans, and don't you feel like there should be more? You've offered up something like 300 million in loans, but this much in grants. Don't you think you should be doing a bit more with grants and that? And he was like, oh, well, the loans, and the way that he sort of stuttered and his body language when he said, there'll be interest breaks on the loans for up to 6 months, and it was just like, mate, come on.
Pass us that lighter, please. My
So
friend.
you're gonna forcibly, everybody's forced to take a loan, but and we'll give you a break on paying interest on it, but you're still paying that interest.
This is going to ruin loads of little independent businesses, surely.
Yeah, but that business, when it comes back around, which is a very cynical way of looking at it, will be
If it comes
absorbed
back
by
around,
the
swallowed
big
up.
I think
Yeah,
I
it's
think
gotta be.
depending on how long this goes on for, you know what I mean? If we go into months, there's a lot of businesses that are just going to fold. A lot of industries. I'd be surprised if cinemas kept going. Do you know what I mean?
They're on the way anyway because of Netflix and
Yeah,
all
well,
those
that's what I
things.
mean.
They're one to watch, aren't they?
They're. You'd be surprised if there's any cinemas. Yeah, left after it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, George.
But things will obviously move on. But everybody will find a way. There'll be new stuff come out of it. I mean, I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens. In a couple of weeks when everybody's been locked up at home and all you've got is the internet. People are going to be starting posting videos of all sorts of mad shit they're getting up to at home and that. And there's going to be some funny shit coming about.
I think there's going to be a lot of garden photos.
But imagine if you swung it and went dark with it, and you said that after 3 or 4 months, whatever, due to limited resources, that they're going to limit internet activity. So
Well,
then they start locking. Do you know what I mean?
We don't know.
We're
that's
that's
we're in
just
their hands, aren't we? We're in their hands. We almost touched on it a little bit, like in the last podcast where we said about the bins on the street. And
If everybody
if everybody,
unites.
you know what I mean? And that's what's happening now because people are staying home. There's a load of people out at the weekends and that, but moral sort of judgment from the public is now in a situation like wearing your seatbelt or being on the phone in your car, isn't it? Like it's that fucking looked down on by the general public that you just can't do it now. Like I almost fucking wore a pair of gloves to come here because I thought, fucking what if someone sees me and I'm not wearing gloves and they're like, look at that cunt. No, you don't care about everybody.
Meanwhile, we're brothers and we spend a lot of the time together in our houses, and it's like how can we, that's another great
I've been
area.
in China twice since fucking Christmas. You know what I mean? I'm all right. I'm not saying that. Obviously, I'll pass it on to other people. But I don't see anybody.
Well, that's what the scary thing is, though, with this. When we talked earlier about like the scale of numbers, 600 people today, or whatever. That sounds fucking awful. Whatever you were saying, And if you can pull out stats from other things, like
look at Thailand's roads, mate.
how many
get
people
to New Year's, did something like don't quote me. Something like 1,700 deaths in the first week. At New Year, that's people drink driving, just getting everyone just being off work and that just nuts every year. They have 30,000 plus deaths on the roads every year. You can pull them numbers.
If you shine a light on a certain statistic, but what I was going to say is you hear that number, whatever it may be, fill in the blank. 600 people have died of corona since whenever, a week. That sounds awful, but you can pull up stats and you can say, well, this many people have died of cancer and they do every day, or this many people, get bitten by a snake or whatever it is. And for a while I thought, this is a bit crazy because this is what's happening. But then the thing about a virus is if it does spread, it's exponential, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So when you're measuring those numbers, really,
who's vulnerable?
Yeah, because these numbers can multiply. Like they're going to stay pretty rigid, aren't they? The amount of people that get attacked by a shark, it's pretty consistent. Cancer, they say that's a consistent number, which is weird.
It's not, is it? Because 10, 15 years ago, it was 1 in 3, 1 in 4 people get it. Nowadays, it's 1 in 2.
Is it really?
With all that research and all them,
what 1 in 2?
Yeah. 1 in 2.
So both two of us
at this table.
Count me out.
We'll probably. There we go. There's one lot. So we're already fucking. See what I mean?
I just want to say for anybody who's watching this video, if there is anybody,
That's just blowing my mind.
This is all personal.
I'm pressing buttons on this keyboard.
Not personal at all.
To switch these cameras. So if I look like I'm on another planet, just fucking drifting about pressing buttons, that's what I'm doing. Because we haven't got our ATEM switcher yet, because apparently there's an issue with postage.
You talk about the exponential growth
Still
of
them
this.
flyers.
Delivering flyers for farm
flyers.
foods instead.
Well, they're essential, don't forget.
You speak about the exponential growth of this thing, though, which is obviously very valid. But it seems to be, like you said earlier, it's only targeting really the elderly
There's
and
been
people
a couple
with
of
weakened
cases.
immune systems. There has been, not to say that it's just purely targeting them, but it seems to be that those people are most at risk.
Yeah, of people who didn't have anything, young, fit, healthy people who've got it, and they've died as well. But at the same time, this is all happening really, really fucking fast, isn't it? There's a lot of heightened emotions. Do we know that person didn't have something that wasn't known about? You know what I mean? I'm not saying, we sound like at the minute that we're trying to condemn all this and not agreeing with it. Obviously, it's real and it's happening.
What's
questioning. At the end of the day, this is impacting the world on a scale that's never been fucking seen before.
It's horrendous. There are a lot of people dying, and there's a lot of people affected by it. But I still think there's
still questions.
There's a lot of
we shouldn't just blindly just fucking suck up everything that's been said to us, because at the end of the day, everyone around this table knows that we've been lied to before.
I was about to say that the trust with the government these days is probably
and it's
because of the internet
of the timing
information.
as well, everyone, people are posting stuff like Boris is a fucking hero and that, and he's just the man who's up there, isn't he? Anyone who's up there would be doing the same thing, wouldn't they? So
I think now at this time there's a lot of. It's good that people are asking questions though, but at the same time, it just shows, like you said there, the power of those broadcasts, the television, the tabloids, the media as a whole.
Well, I've lived through similar things.
They are delivering a message that we're fucking we're literally paralysed by. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like you said earlier, if everybody from the last podcast, if everybody said fuck your bins, if you could get everybody in that street to do that, that would be a miracle.
But if that street did it, the next street would do it, and so would the next street. And next street, and
exactly. But all you got to do is put the telly on and watch the thing, and what is that power? It's just
I've experienced
so embedded in us, isn't it?
On a different scale when I lived in Thailand twice. Once when the when they had all them riots. Remember when it was all riots in Bangkok? with the
Yeah,
yellow
Yeah,
shirts and
yellow
that?
shirts and
that
red
looked
shirts.
Yeah, and all the military was.
What was that to do with? Who was who?
That was the political party. That was the. You remember Taxing? You ever?
Yeah,
Man
yeah.
City, didn't he? Basically, he was the.
Just mind the table out because it picks up the.
Taxing was
Sorry.
taxing people.
Yeah, basically. I'm not going to go into all the details, but he was a wrong and he got extradited from Thailand. He was on the run. He came here.
Okay.
He bought Man City, and then his sister became prime minister, and there was a lot of corruption and all that. And then basically, the opposition had got into power, and long story short, but basically there was political unrest and fighting and riots and all that, and it was all over Sky News. It was all over the world, and the army was brought in to calm it all down and that. But like the hysteria, like I'd see news reports on the TV and that, and then obviously people contacting me. You're all right now, what's going on? And I'm just fucking. Everything's just totally normal for me. It's the media, the news, presenting everything that. But in that situation, it wasn't.
It is
my
so
life hadn't
powerful. It's
changed at
such a powerful thing. I mean, how do you think then?
But the second one was when there was a coup, and the military actually took over. They took over and they locked up all the
curfew
politicians.
times. Well, they
That
had
was when
curfew in place, didn't you?
Yeah, that was when they put a curfew on everything and that, and TV. You couldn't. There was no TV channels. You turned on any TV and it was government. Branded and that, and it was
So
all
that's-
government, and he was
Wow.
explaining what was going on and now they're going to change
That's
everything.
proper.
Oh God, yeah,
Proper
yeah.
lockdown.
Everyone got locked up. All them in Parliament, all them, in the party, they got locked up, man. Do you know what I mean? And then the military, they've been in power ever since. That's who their prime minister is now. He's been in power ever since. But I was there then, and again, similar situation. We were in lockdown. There was curfew and that, but things sort of carried on, and. But what I got from it was the sense of community, which you're seeing now as well here. People start coming together and helping each other out and that. And when it finally does come to an end, the atmosphere is buzzing because you've all sort of been.
United.
Do you know what I
United.
mean?
They said in
Yeah.
New York for a couple of years after 9/11, this New York was just together.
Yeah, you are.
People
because-
connected and
You say that, but why is everybody still buying toilet paper? Come on.
I don't know.
We're
but
not
I
coming
bought
together
like
in
a
that respect,
fucking-
are we?
About 2 weeks before this happened,
Travelled
I bought
about 10 miles to have a
30
poo.
pack. I did. And I was just looking at it thinking,
I was sat at the table last night eating my dinner. I had my headphones in. I heard the door open up, and George came running in. I was like, "What are you doing up here?" It was about 8 o'clock at night. He was like, "I've come to get some bog roll."
I've been to 3 places, literally about 10 miles,
You've been having a
to
real
get
tough time
hold of
with
some
it.
paper.
I've got loads, mate.
There we go.
I haven't
I'm
been panic buying a
Are
whole.
you one of them bull
I was in Pound Stretch or whatever, and over the till they just had these massive ones. I thought I better get one of them and this was weeks before that happened, and I'm on my own, so the door.
so you preconceived it. You were.
Well, I'm just prepared.
I had to use a newspaper
I've
the other
watched a
day.
lot of Doomsday Preppers. mate.
Times are tough, are they?
Times are tough, yeah.
Yeah, them Doomsday Preppers, they're laughing now, aren't they?
They've been locked down.
Yeah.
Them who's
Those
got the
people with the
bunker.
bunkers,
The
yeah.
Hold
bunkers
yourself.
all stocked up with rice and pasta and that.
You damn right, boy.
Loads of ammo.
I bet you there's a fair few of them as well.
Oh God, have you seen it?
I've seen some quirky,
Well,
quirky designs.
speaking and swerving away from the obvious, the coronavirus, and for people at home listening or whatever watching, obviously everybody's got their head done in by it as well. So we will move along from that to a degree, but I'm sure it'll keep popping up because it is a fucking weird time. But talking about that mad prepper vibe, right? Joe Exotic.
Ooh,
Talk to me about fucking Joe Exotic. Hey?
that fucking Carol.
Tiger King.
I really
That
like it.
fucking bitch.
He's actually really good. Do you know what?
He's
He's smart bloke.
genuinely very funny. He can be very funny.
And sincere, as weird as this sounds, and disclaimer is I've only seen a couple of episodes, and we've even said, look, we might even end up blasting it on and having a watching party while everybody's bored, at home. And I think
It is some comical.
bring the city together.
Mad
It
thing.
was, yeah.
But he's at the he goes to the gun store and he's chatting away to the camera and he's documenting it, isn't it? He's making his kind of biographical documentary of his whole thing. and he's in the gun shop and he's just buying shit, guns and fucking automatic rifles and that, and then he takes explosives and everything, and he's just like chatting away saying, you know, if it was up to me, she'd be, you know, and he'd do this and do that, and it's like,
Yeah, but he's filming all that shit and he's got loads of followers and that, and this is we're going back now to like years ago. This is, isn't it? I mean, I don't know how many years. How many years was it?
Should we explain who Joe Exotic
Well, I
is?
think most
let's have a
people
little
might have-
background.
Might have probably heard, but yeah, go on for it.
Go on.
who's going for it then?
I would just say I spotted him first many years ago. I'm sure. I'm almost
Louis
sure
Theroux.
anyone. Louis Theroux, definitely.
Louis Theroux.
Louis
Come on then.
Theroux.
Who is he? Bit more.
I would just say he's just he's a crazy southern tiger tamer, tiger breeder,
tamer.
tiger seller.
Did you see that bit where he gets dragged around by that time?
Is he whacking it with the stick?
He's like, fucking bitch! You fucking bitch! I'll shoot you right between the fucking eyes. But he's in there though, isn't he?
yeah.
And he's
Do you know
like
what?
about
I'm
fucking
gonna-
six
I'm
of
gonna-
these
yeah.
massive fucking tigers.
And he
with him.
doesn't shoot it.
No, but he shoots.
A lot of
next to
people
it,
would have
doesn't he?
there.
I reckon he has done though, hasn't he? But
Yeah.
if you get far enough into it, like, fucking spoil the city again.
Well, that's
Basically,
listen.
we're gonna
Listen,
bang
I'm
it
going to
Watching
bang it on.
this, it's going to be full of spoilers, isn't it?
What episode are we going from?
I think
You're putting it on.
I'm going to put it on. Yeah.
To be fair, it's ranked number 1 on Netflix. So I think
Is it?
Oh
yeah,
my day.
most people have probably watched it.
Yeah, but Louis Theroux, I'm
But
sure,
it
is
is mental. That
10 years ago or something like that. He went and visited him, didn't he? And he was
And it was
bonkers
small,
then.
yeah,
it
but
was,
it was a
growing,
small-
wasn't it?
yeah, yeah.
It was just getting going, wasn't it? And now he's like, and
Now
the
he's
weird
got the
thing in that
eyeliner on.
documentary, as we'll see, is when you realise they're dotted about.
Yeah, there's a
The
few
other one, the
that
guru
other
dude,
dude
just
who's-
rocks around on the fucking
elephant.
on the elephant.
He's got loads of real fit birds and that. All fucking. It's like what? That's what I mean. Like I look at it and I think, fucking.
It's human
How
beings.
are you doing this, mate? How can you feed 200 and something tigers?
Yeah.
You know, how do people take you, like when you go to these meetings with the council and that about getting permits and that, like all strapped up with your fucking molly. It's like, but then that's
America,
his
boy.
world, isn't it? That's where they're from, isn't it? So like, if we went there, they'd probably think we like.
Yeah. Well, sort of this guy.
can't get a tiger?
So we're on.
Just
we're-
mad how different the world is.
This
Isn't
we're up, where I'm up to at the minute is here, which is episode 3.
Oh, right, that's where it gets.
I've only seen a little bit of
This,
this.
this is episode
it?
3.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've not seen much of this.
I don't know what we're on minute wise on it, but this is halfway through episode 3.
Did this come through on the thing?
No, I don't want it to though, do we? Because we'll get told off.
You get clear.
I'm going to turn it down a bit actually. He's
Done it, hasn't he? He's gone to people and says, "You know what? I've got an idea.
Yeah.
Let's do this
But
video."
that's what's cool is what he's making this happen.
Yeah.
He's
And
actually
the
doing
cameraman's
this.
gone. Yeah, look, he's got a dude dressed as old Bill polishing his boots and that. Is he polishing his
He's
boots?
got a lookalike of his
Fuck no.
sworn enemy feeding alleged pieces
His
of
her husband.
yeah.
He's the guru one, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's got those psycho eyes, hasn't he?
Well, it's just.
I
Bagwan.
think she has that.
What's his name? Bagwan.
Bhagavan. Bhagavan.
Doctor
Bhagavan.
something, innit?
Yeah,
He's
what's
a
his
fucking
second name?
doc.
Dr. Bhagavan.
Fuck knows, it's probably
Bagwan
not real.
it means Lord, doesn't it? Or like holy one.
He's a film star.
I just want to say, where are we? We're
Look at
at
how how he turned then.
27 minutes and 43 seconds, episode 3 of the
I really
Tiger
like the
King.
intro to his show.
Do you know who he reminds? No, I can't say
Where he
that.
turns around.
I can't say that.
But he's sincere though. The weirdest thing is he seems
he's
really
real.
sincere.
He's real. But that's, again, that you know, we touched on it last time. I think that's where he's drawn this ability to be able to make this happen.
He's mad though, isn't he? He is
Is
mad.
this his
Yeah.
missus? Who's this?
No,
This
that's
is
the
his
lady.
enemy.
This is the lady who's. This is his.
She runs Big Cat Rescue. She's
really?
trying to take him down.
Her gig's weird as fuck because
Yeah.
she's like having a go at all these guys for
Total
having a tiger
conscious.
She's
park.
doing
but
exactly
she's
the
got a
same
tiger
thing.
park, and she
Even
killed her
worse.
husband.
Even worse, because they're volunteers who work for her. They don't
Yeah.
even get paid.
Right, yeah,
Yes.
but she started off exactly the same. Do you know what I mean? It's only later on.
Someone go and get him a booster
Where have
chair.
you seen him before? Where have you seen him before? He looks like one of the Angry Birds.
Do without sleep,
He
people.
looks.
Look at that mullet, look.
He's so proud of that mullet though, and he wears that mullet well. And he's got 2 husbands on it as well.
Yeah,
I see him
two-
today.
two husbands, yeah.
What? I see him.
Yeah, he's got 2 husbands.
Does anybody want a drink? Do you want a drink, beer,
I'll have a.
or a brandy, or a
I
something?
won't mind something cold,
Yeah.
preferably. If you've got anything,
What you got?
mincemeat.
Some water on the table.
They had a savage story about some dude getting his hand caught in one of them once.
Yeah.
Just pumped his hand around. Took coming out like mincemeat, literally. Yeah.
Got to have been an electric one then. Like a proper industrial one.
Just comes out.
I'm under the septic. That's
in
the
the
bit,
tank.
yeah, that's like, what?
Does anybody want a
Is it
little
man-
whiskey out?
Think this shit was all
Yeah.
public that he was doing and all.
Little whiskey.
Headman. Somebody get him a booster chair.
It looks like a singing turkey.
It's like just jump off that chair and just go dump on the floor.
Thank you.
Do you want a drink, Harry?
Oh yeah, nice and cold.
Yeah, go on then. What you got? What whiskey
What's
you got?
this? Is this straight? Is this?
Just Jameson.
Go on, have a
Do you want
James.
anything with it, James? Good.
Is there anything to have with it? Preferably. A baby with this sort of thing.
I've been on the whiskey every morning.
Have you?
Yeah, man.
Every morning.
Yeah.
What's that been like?
Put it in your
Just
tea.
been caught there. I just
Have a little shot. What?
just got up. Have a fucking open the curtains. Just pour myself a fat glass.
very much.
Well, that's a good habit, that is.
Smash it back.
Do you?
Yeah, just like feeling buzzing in the morning. Yeah.
Oh,
Only like not been getting smashed.
No, but that's
this since you've stopped going to
Well, we're on lockdown, aren't we?
Yeah, this
Wait,
is
this-
a new
oh,
thing.
No, I don't normally drink. To be,
No,
put it
yeah.
out there to the listeners, I'm not really a big drinker. Like, I don't really drink much, but
Celebrate.
I thought, the world's ending. We don't know when. Don't know who it's going to get. So,
Drink some whiskey.
It's straight, Harry.
Of course he does.
yes, please, yeah.
Oh no, fair play. I bet that does give you a nice sort of warm buzz. Nice, neat.
That's what they did in the old school, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's what the old boys do
Well, do
now.
you
I
know
always
what,
found
right?
that strange.
I saw something about a Titanic, and it was about this bloke who had survived in the water for like fucking 20 minutes or something, and everybody else had... No, it was about 2 hours, something like that. Some guy, I think he was a chef. But anyway, he had survived for like 2 hours in the water, and they were like, how the fuck did that? Everyone was dead after like 10 minutes. And he reckons it's because before he went into the water, he was necking loads of whiskey. And he literally had a couple of, and he says it warms you up.
Yeah.
And they were saying, well, there's no actual scientific proof. Actually, the science says opposite, that the alcohol
cools-
makes the blood rush to your skin, and then obviously it gets cold, and then you die quicker. But he was adamant, and this brings me back to what I was saying last week about belief.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Power of
He's
your
done
mind,
that. Apparently, he didn't just like fucking neck it and go and jump off the edge. He was really calm. He went back to his quarters and that, poured himself a glass, fucking boshed it back, and then he went and helped a load of people onto lifeboats and that. And then he went
Before
back
it
to his
kicked in.
room, poured himself another couple, boom, and then went and fucking jumped.
Just trying to think. Imagine
But
that
he survived,
moment.
man.
Imagine that
And he
moment.
knew
What
what
was
he
it?
knew
Was
what
it-
It's about they got hold of him obviously then.
Yeah, he was in, but there was no room. What happened was he was trying to get into a lifeboat, but there was no room in the boat, so he was just hanging onto the edge for like 2 hours. And then when they got rescued and that, he survived.
That's cold. Oh.
He survived, yeah. But it comes
That's,
back to belief.
that's brutal.
Belief. He believed that if he drank this whiskey and helped these people before he fucking jumped in, then he, do you know what I mean? And and when he's in that water, obviously he's having that battle going through his head.
Will be ice cold, but like I say, you've noticed it when you've had a few drinks, you do sort of feel, you do warmer.
warms you-
it does
you-
warm you up.
You
Even
smashed
just
it like
having,
that, mate,
yeah,
and you warm straight back up.
jiggle
That
jiggle,
is mad though.
isn't it?
Can you imagine that moment when they got him to shore? Like, how you should be dead, man. How are you still alive? And he's like, "It's fucking woods."
Like that. Yeah. Well, he said it was a whiskey.
Can you
Warmed them
imagine
up.
being? We've all seen the film Titanic, but But when the boat eventually tips and as it's going down, and that's a
And the
big old
noises.
boat with them big old chimneys. Can you imagine being on that deck? What would you have done? Would you have been on the boat till the last minute?
Well,
Out
we
until
would
the last
we
minute?
would have probably been under the bottom in the fucking the
coal,
lower class
where they're
section where
chucking
they
the
were all
coal in.
chained up.
Yeah, we
You know what I
wouldn't,
mean?
we wouldn't have had a choice.
But I'd have got out of there, mate. I tell you now, I'd have got out of there.
But if he was on it, would you wait till the last bit of the boat enters the water? Would that be what
no,
you how
'cause
you'd
of the
try and do
suction.
it?
That suction would be savage.
Well, that's yeah.
Yeah,
When
but
that
the
goes
3/4 of the boat's already under, innit?
Oh,
That
don't
point.
get
but
with that
then-
boy. That
yeah, but it-
boat's huge.
As soon as that boat goes under that set, it's just gonna suck, and it's just gonna bring you down just far enough so that you're gonna run out of breath
So what
before
would
you
you
get back.
be? Would you
You'd
be
have
off
to
it?
jump.
Off it
You
way
have to
before
jump.
that.
Well, I've had a situation
Situation.
I was
where
on
I've
a
had
boat.
to fucking make a life and death decision, and it involved jumping
Say it.
when I broke my back. When
Oh, this is a Thailand story, yeah.
Tell it.
this is another Thailand story. So yeah, I broke my back. But what it was, right? I mean,
How did you break your back,
Yeah.
Harry?
give it a bit of background for the listeners. Anyone's been to
Pun
Thailand?
intended.
Any background, yeah. For anyone who's been to Thailand, you probably noticed that traffic and driving is a bit erratic out there.
Just a bit.
You know, we mentioned it earlier, the amount of road deaths. I think they're number one at the minute. But yeah, a lot of people travel around in pickup trucks, you know, sit in the back, you know. If you work on a site, construction site, chances are you're getting picked up with another 10 in the back of a fucking pickup truck. So it's normal. And we were moving some furniture, some office furniture, and, you know, loaded up the back of the truck and that, and chucked this double bed mattress on it. And then, we didn't strap it down, did we? And
You
off we
were the
went.
ratchet.
I was on the back of the truck with this fucking.
And again, in Thailand, everybody just sits in the back of pickups. They just sit, they pile on, don't
Yeah,
they?
it's just
yeah,
another
it's a
seat.
normal-
It's
yeah.
another seat if you can
Seat
get in
belt
it,
laws
and not
don't
just
really
that. I mean,
apply.
there's no real rules as to how you can load up a vehicle. You've probably seen videos on Facebook, you know, where there's like a fucking pickup truck loaded up to
Yeah, the back wheels
about
off the
10
ground.
times the size of the truck, and it's like tipping around a corner or something. Do you know what I mean? So like that's what it's like. It's out there, you know, and you know, it just seemed normal.
So
I
you,
was-
yeah, you sat on the back of a.
I was on the
pickup.
back of that with him. Now, obviously, he knows I'm on the back. He knows we load up with furniture. I wasn't expecting him to fucking bolt down the fucking motorway. Like,
Succumvit, this isn't it?
Succumvit Highway
Which
that runs
is-
through the middle of the city. So it's like 4 lanes either side. It's a mental road, mate. So
It's
many
fast,
people
isn't it?
down
That's
there.
a
Yeah,
fast
it's
road.
really fast.
It's every man for
Well, it
himself
basically
on that
cuts
road.
through the entire city, yeah. So if you want to get from one side of the city to the other side of the city, you've got to cross it. And to cross it, I mean, there's junctions, there's certain junctions, but then there's U-turns as well. But them U-turns are coming off of the fast lane and going into the fast lane, and there's no slip road. It's just a fucking gap. Do you know what I mean? So the amount of people who fucking slow down to get ready for these U-turns and just been fucking wiped out from behind from a fucking car, or when you're trying to pull out into the fucking next side on a
It's-
which is the
it's
fast
scary.
lane. You've all
Into
been
the
here.
fast
You've
lane
all been
from a
there.
car.
So you've done it, haven't you? When you have to fucking shoot across the road.
Yeah, it's
madness, isn't it?
Oh,
Do you know what I
yeah,
mean?
it's,
So anyway, we're on this fucking pickup truck, and he's fucking bombing it down Succumvit, and he's going fast. Do you know what I mean? And I'm like, "What you doing, mate?" And I was trying to signal him because the mattress started to fucking shake. Do you know what I mean? Like
Ugh.
it was starting to wobble and that, and so I was like, I wanted to signal him to tell him to slow down, but I couldn't reach because the mattress was so big. It was bigger than the truck. Do you know what I mean? And like I couldn't like lean on the edge of the mattress to fucking lean over because half of a good foot and half of it wasn't even on anything. I'd have just gone fucking slap. So I couldn't signal him. I was just holding on to it. Do you know what I mean? And then he
Were
started.
you shouting or anything?
No,
Or
I don't
just
think
thinking,
so.
just having that
I
internal
think I was
dialogue of
just-
like, fuck,
yeah,
it's
I think
happening.
I was just like, in the moment of
Yeah.
like,
This
this
is
ain't good.
yeah.
this
do you know
is.
what I mean? Like, this
This-
ain't
yeah.
good. Like, I was just holding on, sort of thing. So I'm holding on, and then like it started to get worse and worse, and it was like fucking. And in the beginning, it was just vibrating.
Imagining you flapping down the.
It was just vibrating in the beginning. Do you know what I mean? Like
Knowing
wobbling.
it's coming though.
No, but then it started, and once it started to get bigger, it was like really fucking slapping. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I was having to try and like push it back down to like stop the wind from getting underneath it and that. And then it was getting too. And I thought he might have noticed this because obviously I think I would notice if I was a fucking big mattress slapping up and down on
He
me
had a
fucking
rear
roof of me car.
view
Like.
mirror, didn't he?
Yeah, but I don't know. But there was other furniture and that, so I don't know what you could see.
right.
But at the end of the day, he
You'd
just
know,
had
you
no
think.
idea whatsoever what was going on, and he didn't slow down one little bit. And fucking at this point, I'm thinking, shit, what am I going to do now? So I'd like turned round and I was sort of facing behind, so like I'd be back towards the direction we were going. My feet
So you're just
clenched over
looking at the
fucking-
road at this point.
looking at the cars following us. And I'm just trying to push back on it, like, but the back door on this pickup truck was down, so it's not like I could like
Push against
that door and just fucking lay on it. Do you know what I mean? And hold it down, or even just duck under that behind that door and let it fucking come off above me. You know what I mean? The door was down, and like literally, I had my fucking toes through my trainers, like gripped onto the edge of the fucking tailgate, or whatever it is. Yeah. Just trying to push this mattress back. And
Did
it
you
was
have
just
any-
getting higher and higher?
Did you have any interactions with like the drivers that were behind you?
car
Any
that
like,
was-
eye contact or?
Well, the car, I did, yeah. The car behind me, right? And I'm going back. This is probably 2000 and fucking. Well, it was when Hadley was born, so that was 2011, wasn't it? 2012, 2012, yeah. And the lad behind us was part of our convoy. He was one of us. So he was following us, and I just see this fucking hand come up with like he had one of them. Remember them little white and orange fucking Walkman phones? Yeah, he had one of them, and he just pulled it up, and he was just filming it. And I was like,
Joking.
no way.
You fucking joking.
Yeah, and he was like following. Fair play, he did save me later on in this story, but you know, I didn't think at the time either. There's so many ways I could have got out of this, but in the moment, I was just thinking. All I could think about was I need to fucking get this mattress
smacking
down.
against
and
it.
I was just fucking just leaning against it, just trying my hardest to push it down, but I could feel it just coming higher and higher. And there was just a moment where, like, I just realised that I've got to jump now. Because if I don't jump, that mattress is going to fucking
Your face plant.
Fold you up.
Yeah.
Because as soon as that mattress went past 90 degrees,
How fast do you reckon you're going at this point?
we're going past other cars. Do you know what I
On a
mean? And you've
motorway.
been on Succumbit.
Right.
I mean,
the most
nowadays
intense
it's really
road ever.
fucking busy.
So
It's
you probably do 60, maybe 60.
So
probably
that road-
70, I think. Probably
That
70.
road is the most intense road.
And it's hot as well.
Yeah, it's red hot. It's middle of the day. It's probably 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It's hot. I'm only wearing shorts and t-shirt as well.
Standard.
So, but anyway, so like, I knew in my fucking heart and soul that if this mattress went past 90 degrees, like if it was no longer leaning into the wind, then it's gonna just fucking come down. It's
gonna lay you to rest, boy, innit?
Oh, Harry.
And I'd have been underneath it.
Dear, oh dear.
So like this wasn't like a thought process going on. It was like an instinct. Like all of this thing that I'm talking about now all happened in a split second, and I knew that I've got to jump. Do you know what I mean? So I just fucking jumped.
How did you jump?
I just fucking
Did you just like give it the crouching tiger?
Well, the mattress helped me. Do you know what I mean? The mattress fucking helped me.
Get you
because
some
I
zip behind you.
All that like tension of like the wind pushing it. And
Yeah,
me
so as soon as
pushing
you
against
take
it.
your weight
So
off
as soon
of
as
it,
I,
yeah.
then that was coming.
getting
That's
yeah.
why I had to jump and all, because I had to make sure that I got away from it and it wasn't gonna like catch me on the way fucking down. Do you know what I mean? So I just jumped and then fucking I just landed.
And for
on
listeners
my feet.
or watchers, even viewers, like that Sukhumvit is like 6 lanes wide, isn't it?
4.
Yeah,
4 on
but
each
that,
side.
But,
Four,
yeah,
but
so
it's-
8 in total. You've just got a little concrete
Couple of bricks.
Scary road.
It's a
few
lot
bricks.
of cars,
Scary road.
and
It's the
everybody's
most
driving.
intense road I've ever been on. You remember when you first went on it for the first time?
Well,
Joe?
this is so. I remember when we got to your house. I met you two. Been flying all night, whatever. The very next day, the first thing we did, we prioritised went to go get some peds.
Yeah.
And it was like freedom. Whilst you were at work, whatever, me and George were like, right, let's go and explore. You know, we've got a whole of this city to go at.
Scary, isn't it?
And it was like little kids running, you know, on the sand down towards the sea. We're going down this little road heading towards the Sukhumvit. And as soon as we got to the Sukhumvit, like you get to the sea, we just stopped. We had to pull up the bikes. We got off.
Yeah,
and
because
we
there's no slip roads,
No,
is there?
It's
And
it's
everyone's
alien.
parking everywhere and that, and then you've got
Yeah.
some
We
fucking
spent-
somebody who's like stopped in the middle of it, who's indicating to get into the
Oh.
next lane, and
There's
they're just
no
stopped in the
logic.
middle of the
and
lane.
every lane is any speed, isn't it? It's not as though
Well,
it's,
no, there's speed limits, but
technically, but they don't drive like that over
No.
there so much, do they? So
No.
you literally
and
have
there's
to be
bikes everywhere.
shoot
Bikes,
across
and they come
it.
in the wrong way as well.
We gave it about 5 minutes thinking like, how are we gonna?
Well, we spoke, didn't we? We was like, is there another way around? There's got to be another way. And it's like, no, we've got to cross it.
It's literally like a ring road for the country. It's like
got
it goes
across it.
fucking all the way. It goes through Bangkok and that.
Hey boy, but we did it though, didn't we?
We did many a times. Many a times.
So yeah, when I landed,
This is after you've jumped.
so I've jumped, and now I've just landed, and I just fucking went to curl into a ball straight away. But as I've landed, I've twisted round, so like landed on my feet, and then fucking really quickly twisted round, and then landed on my arse, and like that's how I broke my back, because like the pressure of me hitting the ground on my arse was that much that it squashed my spine. You know what I mean? Popped my fucking L5 vertebrae.
Oh,
You know, I describe it like, imagine if you stood on a baby bell
You never lost consciousness.
and it was split, like the side of it split. That's what happened. So that happened. I mean, my knee was really fucked and that from twisting. But like, that one, the worst bit was immediately after that. Was rolling down that street because we were going so quickly, and I just curled up into a ball and just fucking like
Sonic.
I was just like Sonic the Hedgehog, collecting rings and that. Ding, ding, ding. But no, like I was going for that long that, like, or you know, like that initial fucking what the fuck, like mental like thing had like sort of calmed down, and like now I was fully aware of,
but still moving
down the
yeah,
road.
but I was still going,
Cars pinging past you.
and I could see that was the scariest moment of my life, mate, because I know how they drive out there.
You just roll onto an
And I'm just
oncoming
fucking
car.
rolling down it, and I could see, and I could hear, and I could feel the like wind. And just these cars going boom, boom, boom. That's how close they were. But yeah, and it was
so
scary, and
lucky,
it went on
man.
for a while. But the dude behind me who was filming it, he had obviously, you know, seen all of this happening, and he was following me in the car, so he was sort of keeping. So obviously nothing was going to directly hit me. Yeah, I like that.
There we go.
Do you want it?
Communal. You have a bit of travel tax, mate. So
Yeah, so he sort of like slowed down, but then when I come to a stop, the fucking floor was red hot, man. It was fucking red hot.
Oh, the tarmac under the sun, yeah.
And
Obviously,
I was
it's
laid
time,
on it, and the
yeah.
mattress was like, you know, a few hundred
Back
feet.
on the pickup.
It was, no, it was down there a bit, and I tried to stand up because obviously the road was red hot, and I just felt like it was like a lightning
Yeah, what
bolt.
was that feeling like?
It's like a lightning bolt just went all the way through me, and I was like, no. I was like, I knew, because obviously our dad's
But you're
disabled, isn't
conscious. You kept.
he? Yeah, I was fully aware the whole time of everything that was going on.
I can't imagine.
So then what? Just had to sit back down and wait.
I was saying to them, I think I was on my knees. I think I managed to get to my knees, and I was just like, and I was telling them to bring that mattress over. But in Thailand, nobody will come near you. Do you know what I mean? Because they've got this weird thing where if somebody has an accident and you all go over and start trying to open them and you're moving them about and that, and then they end up dying, you become like liable for their fucking family and shit. I mean, I don't know the ins and outs, the actual laws about it, but that was the hearsay. And every time I saw something happen, people were just what?
Yeah, I'd seen a
Do you know
couple
what I mean?
of things. Yeah, and
People wouldn't get involved. So I was just fucking, and then I got into one of them rescue trucks. Did you ever see them flying about?
Loads, yeah.
So you got
Them
your
dodgy
ambulances.
rescue trucks.
Yeah, you got your ambulances and that from the hospitals, but then you've got this like private rescue companies.
Cowboys.
Swanee Boom fucking rescue. I think they're
Cowboys.
called.
When you said that, I was picturing like, you know, like a, you know, what you'd think, like a truck with like the high vis on it and whatnot. But no, I just remembered. Yeah, it's literally like
It's a pickup
They're
truck.
missing AK-47 sort of thing, aren't
Yeah,
they?
it's just a pickup truck. And if you know the lads with walkie-talkies,
Yeah.
you know, we're all wearing normal clothes and that. And then they come along and just strap me to one of them fucking surfboards, you know, them stretcher things, fucking, and just chuck me in the back of this pickup truck. With obviously it's got metal floor and that, hasn't it?
So you
and like
rattling about.
you succumb it with it being, you are just bounce.
Between you rattling
sliding about. Yeah,
Oh
it was.
my
And the
days.
succumb bit, because it's a long straight road that goes all the way through the city and it's like gridded off, isn't it? So they've got traffic lights every fucking couple of hundred metres, and that's what it was.
When you really want to be
Every
looked
time he
after.
set off, he was like, boom, just straight in the side of the
pickup.
thing, like, what? And then within like seconds, it was. And I was just fucking all the way, and I was trying to count them because I knew where I was, and I knew fucking how far away I was, and I was trying to count how many fucking slams it was to get to the
Like
hospital.
a snooker ball just bouncing off all the all the
Oh, it
sides
was
of the
crazy, man. Mad times, but yeah, the hospital, they're fucking mental as well.
So what? So once you've been through something like that in Thailand on the roads, you know, you've had an experience, haven't you?
Yeah, it was.
Bounced out the
I was lucky,
flying
man.
mattress
I was
on
really
a Sukhumvit at 70 mile an hour.
Yeah, sure.
Splatted onto.
To be fair, I didn't have many. You know, considering I was rolling down the fucking street, you'd expected me to be all fucking grazed up and that, but I had a few things on like my arm, my elbows and knees and that, but not loads because I fucking handled it well. I mean, I proper curled up into.
What was the pain like when you had to?
Those adrenaline must kick in at that
Yeah,
point.
but it's also going to go away. It's not going to be there for long.
The pain didn't really kick in until I tried to stand up. It was only when I tried to, you know, when it all sort of come to an end, and then I like went to get up and I felt that fucking lightning bolt go through me. That was when the pain started. You know what I mean, but I'd had worse pain than that.
So with your back then, you recovered obviously, but you were laid up for a while.
Oh god, yeah, I was in bed for
Laid up for a long time.
I was in hospital for over a week, and then I was at home in bed for a good month. Oh. But my knee was worse. I mean, obviously I broke my back, and my back was bad for years. But the actual like mobility issues of being able to do anything was my knee. My knee was really bad because it like fucking proper twisted and that. God. But yeah, I was in bed for about a month. But then because I was doing like office work and stuff, I couldn't. My back was aching for years.
I remember you always used to go on about it, didn't you?
Yeah, and like I couldn't bend down to do my shoelaces without. I couldn't like just bend down and then just stand up, straight back up. I'd have to like support my back, and then like fucking push myself back up.
I feel like that at the minute. I do.
And it was only when I come back here and I started roofing again. Obviously, when I first started roofing, it was fucking horrible. I could carry a couple of tiles, and my back just felt like if your back was tension rods that somebody had just gone and shrunk them down to that, and it was just like
stiff.
Yeah, but after a while of using it, and because obviously when you're doing roofing, you're using your back all the time, aren't you? And now I feel completely normal. So.
Yeah, my back's Joe Wicks. I got Joe Wicks yesterday doing the exercise with the kids, shooting star.
Everybody's raving about. Everybody's been on about.
It's, you know,
I've heard that name a lot.
I think it's he's a nice boy. I've watched some of his videos.
Slick-looking guy.
I use some of his videos in the mornings. You know, if you want to get like quick 10 minutes on a kettlebells or something like that, something quick in the morning, that's a good run through. And he's just there. He's in the front room with you, like a personal coach or something. Literally. So his video with the kids, because the kids were doing it. Well, it is weird. It is weird, but like. That whole thing of going to a gym and paying your membership and getting your card and clocking in and clocking out, and you can go on YouTube and just say I want to do whatever, half an hour of kettlebell advanced, and there's a bloke who takes you straight through it like as if you just paid him 50. If you pay attention to him, he's like a personal trainer, isn't it? Yeah, and his videos for that are really good, and he doesn't make a song and dance about, you know, the science of it, the anatomy. He just keeps it real simple. So I think the kids love it for that. But yeah, I did my back. Savage.
Doing exercise,
yeah.
Where does
I'll
that
get a claim in a minute. There must be some coming for that.
Where there's blame, there's a claim, yeah? That's what Greenie said to me once.
It's true though, isn't it?
In
this modern world, I think
we've
that's
cultivated that, haven't we?
Big fucking contributor to how shit things are nowadays. I mean, political correctness and that. You know, you can't offend anybody, can you?
Well, it's
can't say stuff.
You can't get near anybody.
Though. It's a complex system at this point, isn't it? You know, there's so much, and as we're being shown, you strip it back to the simple things, which is food, shelter, exercise. But our whole thing come back into the whole virus situation, lockdown. That's what you learn. This complex society that's got all these rules, because now we can do that, but that means it's got this set of rules, and now it affects that and that and that. Now we're down to kind of like, oh yeah, just eat, connections. We run it's like a.
But imagine if the internet went off or electricity.
Well, I thought this. Are there servers and all that? Are they going to have enough server space for everybody at one time to be pumping through it. Because it's very rare that everybody's using the internet at the same time.
Well,
but imagine a situation like this.
You'd be surprised what uses the internet.
'Cause I know some
There's
people
a lot
have
of
had
shit that you wouldn't think that uses.
But that's a form of warfare that they talk about now, isn't it? Electronic warfare. So you've got obviously what we've got now, viruses, which obviously wipe out. But then they can fly over a city and just disconnect your supplies. You could
EMP.
Yeah.
Just
Big
drop an EMP bomb on you, boom. Well, that's what some of these doomsday preppers were preparing for, wasn't it? Like solar flares,
generators,
like a solar flare that would just wipe out the electric grid, just fry everything that was electrical on the planet, and then we'd be just like everything, and it talks you through what would happen. And
I'm good, thank you. I've got one.
Touching back to the corona, it's been in my mind. I don't know why. Well, I do know why. What's going on outside? I would like to really know what the true cause of death, the true defining thing that you can say, right, you've died of coronavirus. Like, what are the symptoms? The full, do you know what I mean? What are you actually dying of? Is it weakened immune system?
It's lung.
It's respiratory, isn't it? It's definitely
purely respiratory, or is it a combination of?
We don't know at the moment.
The people that
weak
have
immune
been
systems,
dying, a majority have had underlying health issues,
which in turn
which is a weakened
results
immune system.
in a weakened
which is
immune
why they're
system.
going to notify 1.5 million people that they're in the high risk category, because they're the people who've got weak immune systems.
I'd like to see a bit more information.
I think they are. I don't know if they have or not.
I'd like to see, why are they not pumping out information? These flyers that you're posting that are essential. Why are we not promoting information that's how to boost your immune system?
Well, in the first
place,
though, I mean, if you think about it,
stress is one of the big factors.
Yeah, which is one of the things that's difficult with
which fear-mongering induces, doesn't it?
Your
That's
immune
going to weaken
system,
your immune system.
yeah.
Sticking the news on.
It's always got to work more when you're scared, under stress.
It's all depressing.
Hey, let me tell you what I'm delivering.
Let me tell you one thing.
There's Kinder Egg offers on at Co-op right now. Yeah,
Kinder Egg.
Yeah, and that's
essential.
It's
that's damaging.
Sorry, I've had a bad day. I've had a bit of a shit day, but it's nice to be here.
But do you know what I'm saying?
You got to shake it off.
I do. Yeah, this is the first time I've sat down.
We could put information out there about.
Yeah, I suppose you're getting stretched as well, aren't you? And what was that you said as well
yeah,
about?
like I said, the workload.
Have you got different workloads to other people based on your physical?
Not so much,
status?
not so much. But I would say, like today, for example, because the guy was working at home, he was doing it off a push bike, and obviously, I think he was working his day off, so he didn't have to be there at all. So that was him helping out. And let me stress as well, there's other emergency services that are totally,
Yeah, we get that. Yeah.
But so he could only do what he could do off of a pushback. So anything that he couldn't sort of fit in his bag, I had to absorb as well as many other things in the area that wouldn't naturally just fall upon me. But it is what it is at the moment.
And what's the general feeling like on the ground between the operatives? Is everybody kind of united, or is everybody a bit sketchy?
Well, it's sort of weird because I had a day off earlier in the week, and so the day before my day off, I was sharing a van with someone. Everything was pretty much as normal when they call the meetings and whatnot. We were all, as close as we are now. And then when I came back after my day off, it was, whoa, like you can't walk around. Like someone will come and porter your stuff to you. Like stay away from everyone. I'll put it there. Share anymore. So they are bringing.
Do you reckon we'll get a bit of backlash for this?
For what?
For this podcast?
What? Because we're together?
Because we're sat within.
Well, allegedly, that would depend on when it was filmed, and and also it would, wouldn't it? It would. This is pre-recorded, isn't it? At the end of the day, this is not a live video, And by the by, we're brothers who spend a lot of time together in this house, in particular, because of our lives and because I've got the kids and stuff. So this tends to be where we are.
Yeah.
And I'm elderly. I've got a bad back. I'm damaged. I need assistance. Do you know what I mean? Simple as that. I'm in that bracket at the moment. I'm struggling. You've seen me try and get across here with these wires. It's a nightmare, isn't it? I'm not in the best position at the moment. Struggling, to be honest. How you like that one?
have to
do
cut
you?
that bit, like you have to cut that.
Cut what? Cut what?
What's up with what?
Come on, we got to think.
Streaming
What
from
would,
the eyes, that's a symptom.
what would Joe Exotic say?
Well, I
Come
don't
on.
want to sound too
Fucking Carol, man.
Exactly, yeah.
unsympathetic, but
You want explosives with that, please?
I'm trying not to give this thing too much energy or attention until it sort of affects somebody I know, or somebody I know that knows somebody.
I'm laughing at you.
Well,
Which I'm not sure that everybody is going to be suffer with this. And we, like you said earlier, we can bring up many things that are killing people.
Well, there's been reports that
So-
it may have been around since before Christmas in England.
no. Oh well.
I want to say that I actually had an illness before. I've had
A lot of
colds and
people
what before.
Before Christmas, there was a lot of people that come down with some really heavy,
I was
heavy
savage,
shit.
yeah.
So I mean,
how
and
bad were you?
scientists have said that.
I was really bad.
Well, I don't
In
quote
bed.
me on that. But,
I remember going to the toilet, and where I have to go down like a flight of stairs. And I get to the bottom of the stairs, and I was like, I'd have to sort of put my hand on the door frame for a second. Just, do you know what I mean? Just steady
So
myself.
not
It was-
really
and
kind
I've
of
never had anything like that
flu
before.
symptoms as such. When
It
you're
was
getting the flu.
exhaustion.
Yeah.
For me, it was exhaustion.
Like out of
And
breath?
like in my, I
Like
could feel it in
couldn't
my
get breath?
bones.
When
though,
you
do
start
know what I
getting
mean?
the flu, you can kind of feel that kind of tenderness on your edge of you, can't you? But if it's something like that where you
But
start
also,
thinking,
when I started
breathing.
feeling better and was going back to work or whatnot, and I thought I felt good, going back to the gym, it took me weeks and weeks to get my strength back, just in that short period of time from having that. So it must have definitely sort of lingered. But whether it was this COVID-19 or not, who knows? But there is that theory that it was around before
I
Christmas.
think it'll be interesting when testing becomes available to be able to see. Apparently, you can get a test now that you can see if you've already had it, type thing.
yeah, pre and
And that
So
will
when
do
that comes
massive-
about,
massive
and
things.
you pop one of them, and apparently it says you've had it, but we can't actually necessarily recall feeling that shitty. That's
but
that's
not
gonna.
only that, but the thing about it is once that's available, then things can start to get back to how they were. Because if you've had it and you've not got it no more, chances are you're probably not going to get it again. So you can go back to life, can't you? Because you're not at risk. You're not going to infect.
yeah, and
anybody.
is that right
But
that
then
you
what
can go
happens-
back into society as well?
Well, you should be able
you
to.
can go-
Or are they gonna
Fucking sure.
make is this
But
vaccination
if
thing
you
gonna
don't,
come around?
then you've got to question the motives, haven't you?
Well, if the vaccination thing comes around and that holds true, what about the idea that you're not going to be able to
Yeah,
go
but
back
let's
to
say
work
you're like
unless you can prove you've had the
18%
vaccination?
Then I'll sign off. Because, I
You
don't know.
can't go back
You
to- you
need to
can't
know
go
more
back to-
info about that. That's a stupid fucking response. to that, to be fair. No, you don't.
it's an
I don't know.
idea.
You know,
You can't go back to-
vaccination.
you can't go back-
If it turned out that I had it and I was in danger of dying, and there was a vaccination, I'd have a vaccination.
But don't
I
you-
wouldn't just have one just for the sake.
What
of,
do you think about the idea
Do you
that
know what I mean?
the vaccination will be mandatory regardless? What about that?
Again, it comes down to numbers. There's got to be a reason.
But if they say
you
it's
talk about health
mandatory,
and safety, and that,
then
there's a
it's
term
mandatory.
called what is it? Fucking reasonable practicability. Yeah. Is it?
Go on, Harry.
Is it worth? Is it really like beneficial? Is it worth doing that? Do you know what I mean? Is it worth literally vaccinating everybody if there's only a fucking small chance that?
That's a big farmer.
Do you
It
know what I
could
mean?
be.
Well, this is that's further down the line of the thingy. But when we talk about the decision to vaccinate everybody, do you know what I mean? Like,
Scary.
you know, if the
Global
chances are
control.
that like 80% of people might get it and just have normal cold-like symptoms and then not be at risk and not have anything to pass on or anything like that, then
Well-
and there's only a short window of being able to pass it on as well.
There is,
from
but
what
if
I've
you
heard.
if you
I've
think
not-
about how it's ramping up the talk of getting testing kits, and the process is absolutely leading to a vaccine, right? At that point, which makes sense, at that point there will be.
Yeah, but should that vaccine be used
Well, this
on
is what-
everybody?
this is what I'm
or should
getting
it be
to.
used on people who contract the virus?
Yeah, I think initially it's obviously going to be to people, that contracted the virus and associated people and so on. But I also, part of me always can't help but wonder, in these times are always, it's never the same after things like this. Do you know what I mean?
No, it's never going to be the same.
And
no.
I think cash is going to disappear, and I think
That'll take a while.
I think if they make this vaccine mandatory, then it's the gates are open and vaccines are mandatory.
That's if you
And
go
that's
down the
worrying.
David Icke route, if you go into conspiracy land and you know, if you buy into the narrative that there's a fucking ulterior motive and that we're being controlled and that, you know, everything is designed to suppress us and control us and that, which is a plausible argument in my eyes. You know, I've looked at a lot of shit. I've
It's
read
a very
a lot.
cynical way of looking, though, isn't it?
Well, it is, but power
at the end
corrupts,
of the day,
doesn't it?
well, look
Absolute
at
power
the
corrupts,
state of the
absolutely.
world. You know, it's not like, do you know what I mean? Like, look at Italy, where there's bodies being left in houses because they ain't got the facility to take care of them, to get rid of them. Like, people living in the house with their fucking dead relatives and that, and you know. So like, when you look at the crunch, like we mentioned earlier, crunch time, and what's actually happening, and it's all designed. It's like it's in the wrong kind of setting. Do you know what I mean? Am I losing myself here? Because I feel like I am, to be honest.
No,
But-
no. I think we're trying to make sense of a.
But like,
a
if you,
fucking
that's where I
difficult-
was.
a
That's I know where I was now. Buying into the fucking conspiracy side of it. Yeah.
Right.
You know, when you look at the David Art thing, I've watched the David Art video. Has anyone
With
here
London
watched that?
Real,
Yeah.
when he sits down with Brian Rose,
yeah, and
London
he
Real, yeah, I've
talks his
seen that.
perspective.
Yeah.
You know, obviously.
And Brian Rose is not on his. Is not
Well,
on
he
the same.
states in the beginning,
No,
doesn't
no.
he? And he states in the beginning his opinion,
Yeah,
his views.
he's not
and
in
that,
agreement.
which
Yeah.
is also a valid thing, you know. And it's a real situation. People are dying, and it's happening, you know. But David Icke puts across some valid fucking questions, some points.
Questions is
Do you
good.
know what I mean?
Yeah, is a good
You know,
terminology.
it's nothing that's definitive, is it? None of us know. Do you know what I mean? But we've got to look at the end of the day. It is a fucking world-changing, fucking cataclysmic pandemic
Yes.
beyond fucking all measure.
We can't comprehend it even
So-
now, really, can we?
You have to fucking look at all possible fucking outcomes and reasons and
Power.
why is these control measures, you know,
It's always
like,
leveraged at times like this. Whether you know, we don't want to have pandemics.
you know,
It's
like
not-
if this was zombies, yeah. So let's say COVID-19 turned you into a zombie, then the measures that were being taken seem really reasonable. Do you know what I mean? Everyone fucking get in your house, don't fucking go out. Obviously, nobody going to work. You'd be killing zombies and that. But you know, this is. I don't know how I'm going to try and make this fucking relevant at all whatsoever. But
I know what you mean. It's
do you know what I mean?
invisible.
Like-
the
like the
media,
level
the
of-
media have been saying it's an invisible war, or it's an invisible attack, and that is sketchy, isn't it? Because
this is a good way of putting it, to be fair, because like I have this with a friend of mine who's very, very don't do it and it can't go wrong. So I mean, whereas I'm very opposite. I'll ride on the back of that pickup truck because, you know, it's fucking cool.
It's an experience.
It's experience, yeah. Like I'm a risk taker. Do you know what I mean? I'll do stuff like, you know, I'm a roofer, so I've got heights. I do stuff that other people might not do. Do you know what I mean?
Well, George Carlin, I sent you a
Whereas-
link. I sent you guys a link in the WhatsApp earlier, and it's a famous bit for George Carlin, Harry, and he's saying exactly that about how they used to swim in the Hudson. You know,
Yeah,
everybody
when
in
it's
his
full of sewage and-
just swimming in raw shit. And this bit's fucking
and then like,
brilliant.
they're going on about building an immune system and like, you've
Exactly.
got to be involved in the
Yeah.
world.
And
so
also
that you
your
can-
mind, you're not all kind of, you know,
Yeah.
freaked out. You know, there is a lot to be panicked about. You know, there is definitely, but there's something in that. There's something in that primal kind of like just getting amongst your environment.
Whereas
We sterilise ourselves,
So
haven't
my
we?
mate then, yeah, he's the opposite of that.
Right.
He's like, well, you know, if I don't do it, then it can't go wrong. So like, he's completely restricted in his life, and like,
Yeah.
I look at things in that sort of balance of, you know, living to the fullest, if you like. If you could, that's a good way of framing it, and being careful. Do you know what I mean? Like, obviously not fucking being reckless. That's a totally different thing, but. You know, and like I think the way that we're looking at this situation now, with there being a lot of hysteria and panic and mayhem and all that, you know, I think it's a critical time where we've got to really make sure that balance is right. You know what I mean? And we're not just fucking imposing. Can you imagine if like after the Manchester bombings happened and all that, and everybody's calling for armed police, and we arm the police, and now we're imposing these lockdown measures where all our police are armed. You know, and we might be locked down for fucking months and months and months. People are fucking
Jesus,
losing their
man.
mind, and you're just nipping out to the shop. And we've seen the videos in America where, you know what I mean, shoot first, ask question. Like, we don't know. We don't know what's going to happen. This could turn into some post-apocalyptic fucking meltdown. It might be
feels like that.
It
yeah.
might be that everything's out of action for so long that it completely crashes and it's non-fucking fixable, and and it might turn into that Mad Max type of fucking world, you know. And we've already given the police guns, and we ain't got guns. Them fucking doomsday preppers, mate. Them Texans, they've got their guns, and that's why they've got their guns as well, to protect themselves.
Second
So,
Amendment.
I mean, whereas we don't have that, so we have to be really fucking careful about what kind of liberties and freedoms and powers that we give away. I think, you know, obviously this is a critical situation that the whole world's involved in, but we can't just say here, fucking
Bend over.
yeah. Do you know what I mean?
No, but you have to walk the line of
You've got to be
Conformity
careful.
to
for
it.
sure.
trust. Yeah, it does. It really pulls. It pulls on the. You have to start considering your trust for the established
Are they going to protect us? Because at the end of the
protocol.
day, we're all locked
And you
down
know
in
that-
our houses.
You know that
are they going to pay
nobody
us this
must.
money?
You know, even in the higher echelons of power.
Where's this money
you know,
coming from?
I think everybody's sort of realising now that how sort of powerless they are. Do you know what I mean? Because you go to work, you've got a nice car, my car's better than his
But that's
car.
it. And
Do
you
know what I
need
mean?
to
so
believe.
I'm doing all right. But at the end of the day, when all that's gone,
But when you can't get any toilet paper,
yeah,
eh?
and it's all gone.
But you
and
have to.
fucking
But you have to.
sat
You have to be able to. That's what I'm saying. You've got to draw on some belief that whatever your political truth lies with, which is not a lot for us, I think most of us these days, is that you, in a situation like this where health is on the line, that they, you know, through a weaved
Fast
way,
forward.
they want the best. They don't want us to be in the shit, whether it's economy driven or not. They don't want that,
Yeah.
and you have to hang on to that to a degree. But it's a movie. We're in a movie at the minute.
Yeah, it is
The
fucking-
whole fucking world
yeah.
It's in lockdown.
is in lockdown.
If you
That is
flew a
fucking
if you flew a camera
bonkers.
around the world now, looking down at everything, it would just be. I mean, there's even pictures of like fucking deer and shit roaming.
Well, what do you think about the?
Nice, good
roaming the
catch.
streets of fucking.
Have you noticed a lot of
cities and
people
that?
talking about the sky
What, and how clear it is
and
now?
how
There's no
clear
planes
and
in
how
it.
things are more
Well, there was a
colourful?
mad
and-
thing
No,
with a
there's
load of
no
birds,
plane.
wasn't there? Load of birds just fucking fell out of the sky, didn't there? I mean, I didn't look into that. I just
But no,
scrolled past it.
the sky this week, 4 days of consistent,
Yeah, it's been
beautiful
lovely.
sunshine.
And that's another
yeah.
thing I was thinking about that today. I was thinking,
Very, very few planes
is this
in
the world
and
saying
little to no
fucking,
cloud.
there you go, lot. You lot have all fucking
I
gone
saw
away.
I saw some pictures in Venice. All the canals have cleared up. Like there's fish back swimming.
Yeah.
But I've got to
Mother
say,
Earth.
like personally, I probably shouldn't because it's probably at my own disadvantage. But I don't follow too much of the hype. Read too much into the news
That's a smart way. Of,
because when you
Well, I
look at the
don't.
direction and the implications and the future prospects and motive, if you want to go back to the conspiracy, it's real dark and you can really torture yourself. I think when you think about where it
Yeah,
could
you-
go.
that's kind of what I'm saying with that. There's a shred of something you have to believe in. When Boris, whether you fucking think Jesus Christ, what is, you know, nothing personal against the people, but the structure of what we're doing at the moment is so rigid and feels so kind of, you know, it's still operating on principles and ideas and notions from like this fucking 1700s or something. You know, like, and they're great principles at their core, but they're not permeating into society, are they?
They're not adapting
'Cause
as
we're-
quickly as we're evolving.
That gap seems to be relevant right now. Even when they talk about key workers, they've boiled it down to who's key workers.
Yeah, and they're the lowest
And
paid
it's, yeah,
population.
and all
in
of a
the fucking
sudden,
country.
you know, it's not
That's what I mean.
bankers and high
Yeah.
society.
And where
so
are
on.
they? Where's all these billionaires? Where's all the billionaires?
Well, they're in the houses doing
Right, where-
covers
where
of
are they?
Coldplay
It's
songs.
easy, stay
Yeah.
home.
Do you know what I mean?
Just chill at this time, you know,
In
the
the
marble
fucking
fucking
jacuzzis.
swimming pool.
But where are they? Why aren't they fucking donating shit and fucking helping
Well, they
out
might
and
be. They
fucking-
might be. You don't know. You know, you don't know what's happening. But
Well, I
I
haven't
think
heard anything. Have
it
you?
feels like, you know, there's some genuine stuff on there. There's some genuine stuff happening. I've got a guilty pleasure. I'll put this out there now.
Ooh.
Instagram, right? Gary Barlow doing his duets. Have you seen any
I
of
saw
them?
one with
No.
Ronan Keating, and I thought it was fake. Are
No,
they actually
I'm
doing that
gonna
to
have
each
to
other?
Yeah, he's doing one. He's doing one every day.
Have we got-
And I say guilty pleasure because I like Gary Barlow. I think he's
Yeah.
so. I do. He's sweet.
Yeah, there's
he's
something
lovely.
real sweet about
He's
it.
dodgy.
Check Gary Barlow's.
Isn't he dodgy? I'm sure he's dodgy.
Gary Barlow, in the
Yeah.
what? Dodgy what?
Tax evasion and all that kind of
No.
nonsense. Yes.
You want about take that, aren't we, Gary
I don't know
Barlow?
You're
about
talking
that. I
about
might be wrong
Gary
there. I might be
Barlow.
wrong there, but I'm pretty sure
No,
he's
I
not.
hope
As,
not.
he's not as puppy dog
I
as he
hope not,
makes
Gary.
out. That guy.
I think you're thinking of Ronan.
Ronan.
I
What's
don't know.
the,
Ronan. He
life is
Oh,
he's
I'll
been on
put
he's
Gary
been on a
Barlow sounds
rockier
alright.
ride than Gary Barlow. I think Gary Barlow's had some tricky stuff in his life, you know, but his duets.
I've not seen these.
Yesterday, I think it was yesterday, one with Rick Astley. Now,
I just want to say I know nothing about
this is...
who we're just talking about.
Gary Barlow.
I know nothing about Gary Barlow. Don't listen too much into me. But talking about Rick Astley, I was listening to an 80s playlist the other day.
Yeah.
And Never Gonna Give You
Up.
What a tune that is.
Yeah.
What an
It's got a
absolute
couple of
banger
classics.
that is.
He did that. That's what he was doing with Gary Barlow yesterday. So
What, that song?
my guilty pleasure is I've just, for whatever reason, I don't know if it's on Tudor Chat or whatever, but I've got Gary Barlow pops up in my feed. And I just saw that first one that I saw was with Ronan Keating. And there's like split screen. And I'm thinking, is this piss take? Is this like a pre-recorded thing? And then I realised, oh no, they're doing the thing, aren't they? They're jamming together and they're doing it because we're all in lockdown and blah, blah, blah. But they mean it. He's going for it, and he's like, he's singing into the camera, and he's just having it. And it's like, half of him is like, fucking hell, fair play. You are loving that and meaning that. And then the other half of me is like thinking about my portrayal of Gary Barlow. All of a sudden, I'm thinking, well, what do I think of Gary Barlow? You know, all the years of looking at the newspaper and the documentaries or whatever, and then you just see him in his house playing his keyboard and that, singing with a fella, and you think, fucking hell, it's a weird world, man, isn't it? But they're great. He did one with
He was
is it
going to do
Beverly
cruise
Knight?
ships. That's what I was delivering not so long ago, that he's doing cruise ships soon. Gary
Right.
Barlow.
What, singing on cruise ships?
Yeah.
Well, he
Go on, Gary.
He did one of these with Beverly
Yeah.
Knight, and it was Aretha Franklin and
Take
I
that.
forget. That one's pretty cool. But check out Gary Barlow doing his daily
Yeah, I might have
duets.
to have a look at them.
There's a lot of kind of that kind of thing going on, isn't
I
there?
had a bit of a guilty pleasure for a couple of Take That songs.
Gotta
few
be.
more,
Let me
few.
guess. Let me guess one. I'm gonna say Shine.
What's the whatever I said? Is that's one, isn't it? Yeah, you give me the wink. That's one.
That's
so
one.
you get the other one then, Sal.
I think there may be two or three.
Oh,
keep,
no.
Keep going. A couple of recent. One of them was a little more recent about.
Want you back?
Shine was.
No, and that was always a bit cheesy. That was on one of the adverts.
I felt like that was.
That was an advert
I never
song
saw
and
the
it
advert. So
played
it
to
probably got
death.
killed for you.
Oh, it
but I never
ruined
saw
it.
the advert. But that reminded me of a Beatles song. That did. It had the kind of structures
Yeah.
and kind of. It had the
What we on?
the arrangements and kind
Talking
of
about Gary Barlow and Take That.
hooky sing along as like a
Oh,
Beatles
Mark.
song. I think was that Mark Owen wrote that one as well.
I'm not sure.
I think yeah.
Is he
Was it the Morrison
Check
guy
out
with
the
hat?
Take That fucking knowledge getting dropped all over the table.
I was out the room, mate. You carry on.
Hey, on the last podcast, you were Savage Garden, Larry.
Yeah.
No, I was using it as a reference. That was one of my cringe moments when I listened to it back.
What the Savage Garden?
Yeah.
They lovely lads they are. I've seen them on
mate,
interviews.
that
They're
lyric.
lovely. They're lovely.
I've got a bit of a Take That moment with you, actually.
What?
Yeah. This was when you was going to go to Thailand and you had a girlfriend at the time. I won't name any names. And it was like you're leaving to, who was having a few drinks.
Okay.
Yeah, we were having a few beers, and I just sort of looked over at you and you were sat at the table. It was like I was looking at a picture, and the song that they were playing was that "Nothing to Say at All." And she was absolutely gutted, like the whole night. Like she didn't really interact. She looked real down, and obviously you were doing the thing and saying your goodbyes. And just in that moment, that song.
Could you kind of frame that in your
Yeah,
mind?
yeah, I remember that. When I hear that song, I can go back to that scene and I
That's a
see.
lovely thing to frame and remember, Josie.
Oh, that's
No, but-
imprinted in your.
No, I remembered that.
I
Weird,
remember
them
that
little
night.
moments.
That was a good
Do
night. Yeah, I remember that night.
I remember that
Was I
night
there?
very vividly.
George was out that night. He was like
it was one of my,
15.
yeah, 40.
We were all there that
14,
night.
It was
15.
probably about anywhere between
See,
20 and
we should be
30
able
of
to
us.
put
There
up
was
a
a
picture
crew.
now.
on
There's
there.
a picture of that night.
Yeah,
We should
there
be able
is.
to ping up a picture of that, shouldn't we?
Oh, hang on. Is that when?
I had my GCSE
Did we go to
biology
eat somewhere
exam
down by the
next day.
river?
Yeah, down the break.
Ask.
Yes, there was.
Ask?
Loads of us
Yeah,
were.
it was.
There was.
Ask? Is it like that
Yeah,
place
it's
called
one of them
Ask?
places. It was one of them
Italian.
places. No, that was a cracking night actually. Yeah, you were young.
Hmm.
You hit the
That was
you hit
your-
the tarmac.
that
We
was-
literally
that was
smuggled
your
him
night,
in
wasn't
with
it?
us, didn't
The
he?
tyres hit the
You
tarmac that
love it.
night. Ken,
That
didn't
was
they?
that
Amongst
was
the
mad.
mob. We
No.
smuggled you in amongst the mob.
15, you was on it and all, wasn't it?
I can play a lot of that night back in my mind now.
Really?
Yeah.
So that affected.
Well, that would have
you?
been monumental. I can remember my first night in town. But funnily enough, I'd been out in. Am I too far away? I'd been out in Pattaya in Thailand before I've been out in England.
That's mad.
That is mad.
Strange transition.
When I was flat,
Quite the
15.
transition.
And then I come back from there, and then I went out in town with.
And what a disappointment that was, I bet. Like, what? Is this it?
Do you know where I went? The first place I ever went. It was what was it called? It's where that fucking Cloud9 is now.
Cloud9. Oh,
On that corner there, that real grungy fucking
Lincoln High Street.
metal fucking.
Sugar Cube.
No, that on the corner, Cloud9, the strip club down the alley.
Badgers.
No, not Badgers.
You
It
sure
was
that's
Badgers, I think, but after that,
Oh, I don't know.
Sirens?
Don't know. This.
I can't remember. I remember it fucking at some point. But anyway, yeah, that was the first place I went.
It's a strange.
That was a good night. Like I say, I can relive a lot of that.
How long ago was that? That's how long? 7 years.
No, that was about 10,
Yeah.
10 11 years.
Fucking
11
more
years.
than that.
11, 12 years.
Yeah. It was 2009.
God, yeah, so 11 years.
11 years.
Jesus.
The first night.
50.
One day we're going to
was
tell
me.
that story. The first,
Oh, what, when we all
the
went?
first night.
Oh, dear. I don't know if
That's
people
all
are
we'll
fucking
say.
ready for that.
And one
Why
day
not?
we'll do an episode called The First Night, and we'll unravel the mystery.
What, the Thailand?
Jesus.
What?
Yeah, we've got to...
Was that
I can't
before they
remember
made The Hangover, or was that about the same time?
It was before.
Because we could have done
That was
the,
2011. When
we-
was that?
we could have done the
2012.
British kind of.
It might have been about the same time, actually.
The Four Brothers Hangover.
Oh, that was more than hangover.
It was.
It was like 36 hours, and then a hangover.
Well, mild hangover.
Yeah, it was straight off the plane, baby.
Yeah,
Wasn't it?
it was longer. Yeah, we've
Rolled
been
in,
travelling all.
showered up.
Literally
Not tell too much now, but all day we've been travelling. What 13, 14 hours.
a long time.
Then
When-
went
when-
out.
More
That
than
night.
that.
When Greenie come as well, he was thrust straight into the fucking deep end.
It's a long way to get there, though, and I really like being on a plane for a long
It is,
time.
it's horrible.
I
It's a
really,
horrible journey,
really
isn't it?
struggle, man. I start freaking myself out.
Not getting all that.
Just about the reality of it. Like, we're just all sat here ignorant to the fact.
that you fucking
Yeah.
thousands
Big
of feet
metal
in the air.
flying
Same like when you're in a
box.
car, you're just ignorant to the.
Well, I don't
ignorant
like
to
being
what's
on
going
boats. I'm all right on a plane and I'm all right in cars.
What's about
Bikes,
what? The motion,
I just
the
don't like
sickness.
just being out at sea. You know what I mean? I just don't like because you don't know. I'm telling you what, when it started and it was in Thailand when I was a bit younger. And we was fishing, sea fishing, and I didn't really think we was going to catch out, and we didn't catch out for ages and ages. And then all of a sudden, one of the rods went, and it was like, I was like, fucking hell, jumped up, grabbed it, started fucking reeling it in and that, and then I remember this fucking fish breaking the surface, mate, and it was like a swordfish. I don't know if it was, I don't know what. It just looked like it had a massive long fucking
Like a marlin, one of them type.
something
fish,
like that. Yeah. and it was fucking massive. And then, and I remember as soon as it come out of the water, I remember looking at it thinking, fucking hell, it's real. It's not just on the telly.
Yeah.
That's real, and there's fucking more of it. There's loads of them.
And they're huge.
See
They
what
can
I mean?
be huge.
Yeah. And then, like, I remember flicking back in my head to like watching David Attenborough and shit like that. And just remember, you see thousands in a big show just spinning around and that. And I remember thinking, fucking, that's mental, isn't it? And it's happening. You can't see it from it. I'm like literally right here above it, and I can't see it, but it's happening. There's a whole nother world. That's a whole nother world.
Yeah, an
you know what I mean?
undiscovered
If you want to
world.
believe that aliens might be possible, all you got to believe is that there's fish. So,
Yeah,
I mean,
we don't even know
these are
what's down
fucking
there,
animals
do we?
that live in their atmosphere is made out of water. You know what I mean? And they breathe it. This fucking like tangible liquid, whereas we breathe like a gas. Like, how can it get any different to that? You know what I mean? You only got to look at octopus and shit.
You've seen them mad little creatures down in the dark that light up, flash different colours and shit, don't they?
You've got, like, little
They look
fishing
like
rods.
aliens,
They've got
yeah.
fishing rods, man.
Yeah, they're like transparent little things that all flash different colours.
I'm trying to think.
That's
No,
alien.
a fluorescent. They create their own light. Is it a fluorescent?
Yeah, but some of them like flash
I think
different
they're
colours and
currently
shit.
trying to harness. You know how like there's octopus and certain species of squid that have the ability to like
Bomb
camouflage
mixes,
into exactly where they are. And I think they did it on a checkboard. They tried to freak out this fish because obviously how perfectly geometric it was, and I think it pretty much nailed it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What,
like,
merged into like a chessboard?
yeah. So it was on the checkboard and obviously came up like filled in the rest of the board.
Wow. That is
And imagine
some
if
mad
they
shit.
can figure that out. That's basically invisibility.
Well, I've always been fascinated by like how different shit is. You know, like snakes can see with heat vision and that. Like, you know,
Yeah.
like you play COD and you get like a heat-seeking fucking scope. and it's like this technology. We've created a technology where you can see this infrared, you know, whereas as an animal.
But ours is even but ours is so much inferior to theirs.
Yeah.
But like,
we're just trying to replicate it.
It's just a glimmer of what
I
they're
honestly
seeing.
think, like, but I ponder or wonder the question of
I
whether or
sit
not
by a still lake.
all life.
That's like Chris Eubank. I sit. Long pause.
It's almost like everything's so perfect at what it is that it's almost too good to be
But
true.
that's what we do. We
It's like an
replicate
experiment.
nature, don't we? We try to replicate, which
Well,
again,
we're
coming
on
but coming back to this virus thing, you know, what it's exposing.
All right, thank you.
What it's actually exposing is that we've come so far from that nature, Harry. Do you not think? You know, like, it's when you get down to the fucking flesh and bones and blood of it, we need to sleep well, we need to eat well, we need to be communal, we need to have a sense of purpose, we need to get fresh air, we need to eat things that have grown from the earth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, we've made everything so complex and wonderful. You know, we've all sat here doing this for fuck's sake, you know, with buttons and magic and things flying through the air into screens, and kind of reading that Sapiens earlier this year, that's like the conclusion is like we're just complex to the point where it becomes, do you know what I mean?
I think it's all just a fucking alien experiment.
Well, it is in a weird way, because you're a living organism and you're an alien to a fucking ant or whatever. It's just a life cycle, isn't it? And it's bizarre. And you're reminded of it in times like
Yeah,
this.
but we're so fucking different to any other life form.
That's what I was going to say.
that ever fucking
Are
existed.
we the only animal or
And
species?
I've
or
always
whatever?
thought this since I was a kid. I can remember being sat in the back of Mum's car as a fucking kid, young kid, and just thinking how mental it is that we're sat in a car. You know, like there's trees and that, and like I can remember thinking, like at school when I started learning about, you know, elements and stuff, and you know, rocks and fucking wood and fucking, you know, like thinking this is what the world's made out of, like, and everything that we've got in the world, TVs and fucking cars and all that, is all made out of those things. Do you know what I mean? Rocks and fucking minerals and trees and fucking
materials,
natural materials from the earth, and however we've sort of processed them and ended up creating these things. But all these things we've created, and there's no other species on the planet ever that we know of that has ever done anything remotely like that. And when you look at like the natural world, take all of that away from it, and you look at the actual natural world, and it's all about dominance and power and size, and his teeth are bigger than theirs, and fucking he's got a shell, so that put that fucking animal. Do you know what I mean? There's like an order to it. Do you know what I mean? And it's a natural thing, whereas we have completely fucking turned that around. Why is that? Oh, because we've got bigger. No, dolphins have got brains. You know, there's
Well,
others.
I might
do
be
you know what I
wrong,
mean?
but are we the only sort of animal or species or whatever that can, not to sound too philosophical, but that can ponder their own existence?
Definitely.
Well,
There's
are we
definitely
though?
that to play.
Are we
I
though?
might be
Because
wrong,
They've
I don't
shown,
know.
they've shown mirrors to other animals and that, and like the common sort of theory with animals is that they don't have feelings and emotions.
But
and-
that's what
Yeah,
he's
but that's
saying.
what I mean. So a dolphin could recognise itself.
Well, dolphins have
like-
conversation. Dolphins take drugs.
But that's intelligence.
What?
Does that dolphin think?
They chew on pufferfish.
Oh, so they know that they're
They
going to...
chew on pufferfish that release like a fucking toxin that gets them off, you know, like piss.
Right,
Gets them
and they
off
do
the-
that
and they do it
consciously?
not only consciously, but they do it socially
Oh.
and communally. Do you know what I mean? Like us. Just
Mm.
because they're fish and they swim about, they don't have fucking fingers and thumbs. Do you know what I mean? But they're doing what we class as like, you know, sentient, intelligent, fucking human things, basically. You know what I mean? Whereas the previous sort of narrative on animals is that they're just fucking reactionary, aren't they? They're just fucking, they've got this.
But so do you think dolphins are acting on instincts and intelligence, or do you think that he's literally thinking like, right then, I'll go over here for a bit?
I don't think any of us have got a fucking any idea whatsoever. I don't think we're anywhere near to understanding possibly what goes on in their world. It's so fucking different, isn't
But
it?
when you say
Survival of the fittest.
when you say that, what you said a minute ago, Harry, when you say how different we are to the animals, in that we can think and we've got all this sensitivity and emotion and all those things.
But
we don't know if we have or we haven't. But then what we have got at the same time as that is this internal intrinsic knowing that we need to be more simple and more kind of in nature. Do you know what I mean?
We're much more communal. We're much more like.
It doesn't.
And we're like ants. We're like massive fucking ants. Do you know what I mean? We're not like. Well, it's strange, because like I've always imagined us to be like lions and fucking chimps and all those like stereotypical mammals and that, but we're more like ants in that there's fucking thousands of us, and we, like, look at it now. You know, we just see a picture on the TV telling us to all stay home. You know, like you walk out your door and nothing's changed really, has it? Do you know what I mean? You're not seeing stretchers and fucking hazmat suits running down the street with fucking tents up. You know, like literally you walk out your door and everything's normal. But the bloke on the telly said to stay home because that's what it got. So we all stay home. We're like, you know, we're like an army, aren't we? Do you know what I mean? We operate in a similar way to like ants and stuff like that. You know what I mean? But we're mammals. We've got
the complexity of thinking about that whole notion of what's involved. We have to consider everything, don't we? And we live in times that are so busy and broad and kind of fucking, you know, there's just so much going on for your eyes and ears.
I don't think we were always
and brain
like
to
that.
just process and download.
I don't think we were always like ants. I think, you know, before mass sort of interaction and community, you know, like back in the fucking tribal days, we were more like fucking wolves and fucking lions and pack animals and that. So I mean, in that we were family orientated. You know, we had a family and that, and you stuck together, and maybe
basic hunter-gatherer,
hunter-gatherer, fucking, you know, that kind of like instinctive survival instinct. Whereas as we've sort of grown into this sort of, like, you're born into this pre-made world where you've got your birth certificate and that, and then you live at that address, and fucking, you know, you're gonna go to that school, and you ain't got no choice about the matter. We're just born into this like unnatural world, and that's obviously got its fucking pros and that, you know. But
that's what I'm saying.
It's just a strange difference between why isn't of all the fucking, like, you look around the world, like every time I look out the fucking window of a plane and I look at the planet and how we've manipulated it and carved it out and fucking built on it and that, and like when I flew over China on the way there and just flying over all the mountains, and it's just fucking miles and miles and miles and miles and miles of just mountains that had been hand carved. And obviously looking down there, it's like, well, that must be where they're getting all these minerals for like all the iPhones and fucking all these things you hear about, but never. We
don't even have time to think about.
Yeah, and like I was just looking down, and it was like for miles. And I was in the plane, obviously, so it's fucking I could see everything, and it was just. And I remember thinking, just how small a person is compared to what I'm looking at now. It's just like the only way that is possible is through mass cooperation.
But is that instinctual though as well? Do we not all instinctively feel that though? How do you discern, I
think we do at the moment. You know what I mean? But I think that's because, again, we're born into it, aren't we? It's like, you know, when they built Lincoln Cathedral, it took them 200 years to build it. So there was people that were born,
whole generations of families through
like
it.
Their dads was working on it, and then they worked on it, and then their dad died, and then they died, and it still wasn't finished.
Jesus.
You know what I mean? So they never got to see it finished.
5 people died a day building the cathedral on average.
How many?
5 people died every
day.
Yeah.
You know, so
there's
this thing, but like, did those people do it for the betterment of like, oh yeah, you know, we're contributing to the history of the planet, and one day it's gonna be, or did they do it because they didn't have no choice? They had to get bread and they had to get fucking milk, and that was the only way that they could do it. Do you know what I mean? That's kind of like where we're at now, and I think that's what's coming through as we all get locked down. Is like, we don't do the things we do every day because that's what we want to do, or because that's what's right for us. We do it because that's the system that we live in, and this is the path that we found to get through it. And now all that's falling apart. I'm going on like Four Corner.
Yeah, but that's great. That's what a podcast is for, isn't it?
I'm just sort of like trying. This is all just coming to me as a.
Hey, listen, if we was up at my mum's having a Sunday dinner, we wouldn't be having this conversation, would we?
Anyway, I'm just fucking. Somebody else say something. Lost me shit now. I'll figure it out on my own.
It's a damn crazy time, man. It really is. And who was saying earlier about lockdown on Friday then? What kind of
I got a
lockdown?
message.
What
I don't know. I just got a message saying total lockdown from Friday. Apparently,
what does that mean? Just
I
like
guess
everything's
that means
forbidden.
that, yeah, you're not allowed out your house.
Jesus, man. they
And
can't
that's
do
when
that.
rations will start coming in, isn't it? It's got
Feet on the street,
You're not
boy.
gonna what? You're gonna order?
Please.
Oh, can I get fucking 3 of them and 4? No, you're gonna be like, right, well, everyone's
I've
getting
been given
fucking
a
loaf of bread and
I've
bit
been
of
given an
cheese.
official document that I need to produce to the police, and I have to carry ID on me for when I get stopped. Like I'm going to get stopped.
Right.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Even though you're a
What?
postman and you're wearing postman
So you're not posing as a
Well,
postman.
when I sort of go to work, normally I've got a raincoat on or something. I'm not always in the traditional red. But yeah, you know, they're anticipating that you're going to get stopped. And they're going to be checkpoints.
Well,
I think
that's
like
gonna
today it
happen,
was
isn't it?
supposed to.
Maybe
It was,
Blade Runner.
There was a lot of. I think there was some legislation that came into effect today where they can now officially fine you, anywhere between 30 and like £1 for being outside for any unnecessary reason. But obviously that's not been taken seriously, has it?
Well, it's difficult. It's so difficult. That's got you. That's nailed it for you, Harry, isn't it?
Yeah, like I say, there's probably going to be some cuts in this.
It's fucking bonkers, is what it is.
It is. It's mad times. And what do you do? Like, I'm on the fence of like, do we? This is what I was touching on with the green thing earlier. Like, do we fucking just sit and wait to like maybe we're just gonna all die, or maybe in a week it's gonna all go back to normal, or what? We don't know. Nobody knows what's gonna happen, and if all these things are true and it is gonna be complete lockdown and it's gonna be in there.
Well, there's no way, Joes, if
are
you're
we not
working,
supposed
is
to
there?
like that? That's exactly why Snowden was the busiest. It's
You don't
fucking
think so?
been.
There can't be. I mean, if it gets serious, then fucking delivering pictures and deals and 20%
Yeah,
off.
I think it
Surely,
transfers on
that
the
has
material
to-
as well, doesn't it?
I mean, I don't know. It's crazy. It's a crazy, crazy time in that sense.
Have some Bombay mix.
Bring the Bombay home.
Bombay madness.
Bring the cheers. Anyway, brothers.
Yeah, sorry for running.
No, listen, it's a strange time. We've got to get stuff off the chest. We've all got cabin fever, haven't we? We've been in that little 6x6 kitchen.
I've been on
haven't
lockdown for fucking months, I have, so I've had plenty of time to think about it.
Got a few more months to come.
Yeah.
Or is this just well? We don't know, do we?
we? Well, listen, we'll bring it home. It's been fun. We're in lockdown. I don't know where it ends. Hopefully, we'll get to do this again. It's the beginning of the end times. It's the end of the good times. No,
The end is nigh.
No, it's good. It's all good. It's going to be good. It's going to be all right. Listen, stay safe. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Keep the
Peace.
distance.
Stay safe, peace.
Yes.
Keep
Wash
on
your
keeping
hands.
on.
Wash your fucking hands. Pick your nose. Chew your toes. What is it? The guy used to do? That was cool. Thank you for listening to Chew the Chat podcast.
Thank you for listening for Chew the Cat podcast.
Chew the cat.
I want to say my own word.
Go on then.
Very angry.
Well, fun times. Brothers, isolated in a little room. Family members spanning across a generation, 13-year gap, trying to work out what is going on, who's getting their news from where. What do we believe? What don't we believe? What feels right? What sits right? It's difficult. It's really difficult to discern, your instincts against the tidal wave of rhetoric and narrative that's pushed upon you. It's really difficult. Health and safety, care for one another is paramount, but we must keep our eyes open and our ears open and try and be vigilant about what feels right. But the funny stuff is always welcome, isn't it? The Tiger King, big shout, Joe Exotic. Just what a fucking, we live in crazy times. You stick the television on in the corner and you watch the wacky shit come out of the screen. And you're dislocated from it, really. You're sat in your room, in your world, on your clock. your environment, your dynamics, and you watch this madness come out of the screen, this projection of other life from another place come across the room, and you can dip in and dip out and turn it on and turn it off and leave it and go back to it. But that's fucking mad, you know. That's mad. That group of tiger, exotic cat owners, you know, animal owners and lovers, I guess you would call them. Fuck, you know, I don't know. I think there's a lot of self-love going on, which is important. We need that. But yeah, that's a bonkers community. I can't help but feel like everybody was guilty in that situation. So for people who haven't seen it, check it out. It's a human experiment, like all of this stuff is. It's just a Game of Thrones. If you've watched Game of Thrones, Tiger King is just a Game of Thrones. It really is. It's just, you know, is it a throne or is it a sword or is it a jewel or is it just power, attention? It's a fucking mad old fucking program, and I feel a little bit for Joe Exotic because I think he got the lump end of everything. But yeah, you want to say, oh, it's great entertainment, what a great show, but you stop and you think, well, that's people's lives. That's lives, people's lives, you know, livelihoods, every day of grinding, years of working, and belief systems that have been put in place fucking because of the culture, because of the laws, what is permitted, what is not permitted. It's fucking wacky, man. This is a wacky time. Gary Barlow's duets, of course, fantastic. Just something else. I mean, Gary Barlow is a sweet gentleman, and I've got a guilty pleasure of watching his little duets. From a music point of view, absolutely none of it jives with me. I'm just fascinated by these duets and the people, they mean it, they're really into it, and it's a really warm kind of little thing popping off. There's lots of things like that happening on the internet at the moment. There's a hell of a lot of things that are just intuitively, instinctively, creatively popping up, interactively. You know, you got this party time app and Zoom, and, you know, again, I mentioned Blade Runner, you know, it feels like we're going to be interacting through our digital screens and our digital avatars more and more than we already were before this crazy situation. You know, I think it's fair to say that science and, you know, social awareness of everybody being lost in their phones was really starting to kick in. You know, you watching children in restaurants as young as, you know, 18 months old that have got their own iPad set up. You know, you look at that and you just fucking zoom out to a future for what does that mean? You know, I mean, where is that leading? You know, 18-month-old children who aren't even began, you know, the process of downloading their natural environments, never, you know, anything else other than crazy illusions of colour and moving motion magic from a screen. So yeah, this is bonkers time. Thailand stories. Harry's Thailand stories are becoming somewhat of an integral part of the Four Brothers podcast, and there's many of them to come, and we've got some joint stories as well when we've all been in Thailand together. But so far so good with the Four Brothers. It's ticking the boxes of what we set out to do, which was spend more time together and chatting and just talking about how we're feeling, what we're going through, what it's meant, memories, dreams, reflections. It's really therapeutic and it's really nice, and I hope we can keep doing it. I don't know where we stand with that. You know, we've got an isolated studio. It's just a room on its own, specially built for doing podcasts. We are brothers that spend our time, you know, together in the house. So, I don't know where that leaves us. It's a strange time, but we really enjoyed doing that podcast, and we shall do more, I'm sure. So, yeah, thank you for being with us. Thank you to the sponsors, Lincolnshire Cryotherapy.co.uk, GoDeepFlotation.com. Google them, just check them out. Check out those modems of health and therapy. Flotation therapy and cryotherapy, both amazing, both becoming abundantly available now in a in our cities and in our towns. You know, there's more and more centres popping up as the science keeps proving more and more that these kind of engagements with simple natural phenomena are really useful. So check those out. And thank you to everybody listening, joining. The YouTube page is starting to gain some subscribers. The videos are starting to. We're just producing some clips. Like I said, it was a novel first go with the cameras, but it's all good. It's all part of the growing process. So we thank you. Point you over there on the socials as well. Thank you for jumping on and following us and engaging and sharing and liking. It means the world. All the new listeners in, I think I mentioned in the intro, Switzerland and various European spots. Spain's growing a little bit. Mind-blowing. America's overtaking Australia. We've got the most numbers there outside of the UK. So thank you everybody in America. You guys are a big inspiration. You're a fucking crazy bunch. You're like the youth of the world, you know, the young, wild sibling of the world. A nation that's got a rich history and a short history, but they are the leaders in so many ways. We're proud to have you with us. So yeah, thank you very much, everybody. Check us out. Chew the Chat Podcast on the socials, YouTube, Chew the Chat Podcast, Podbean, it's all there. Thanks everybody. See you again next time. Peace.